Chapter 337. In the past, it had always been people who tried everything to be his apprentice. Now, someone was trying everything to take him in as a disciple. Moreover, it was the highly respected Qi Shaoan. Many passers-by turned to look at them. Many of the archaeology students did not know who Tang Zheng was. They were all trying to guess who he was. Yan Liang almost fainted. Damn, was there any justice in this world? What exactly was so great about this kid? Qi Shaoan stared at Tang Zheng with burning eyes, waiting for his answer. However, Tang Zheng shook his head. Thank you for your kindness. My ambition lies elsewhere. Qi Shaoan gritted his teeth and said, Don't be in such a hurry to turn me down. You don't know the charm of this industry. Today, I'll take you to a place. I'll let you experience the charm of this industry before you make a decision. Tang Zheng found it difficult to turn down Qi Shaoan's offer. Since the old man was so enthusiastic, he would follow him and see what charm he had. All right. Where are we going? Qi Shaoan's eyes lit up. He was excited. Let's go. You'll know when we get there. I promise it'll be a good place. Then, he grabbed Tang Zheng's sleeve as if he was afraid that he would run away. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the two of them disappeared. However, before they could reach the school gate, they were stopped by Li Xiaotian. Where are you going? Hey, it's you. Qi Shaoan had a deep impression of Li Xiaotian. He could not forget the Ladies of the Nine Heavens painting. Hey, can we talk about this again? Can I borrow the original Ladies of the Nine Heavens painting? Qi Shaoan asked. The news that the Ladies of the Nine Heavens painting was a fake had spread within a small circle. It caused a huge commotion in the archaeology world. Many people asked Qi Shaoan how he discovered the flaw. When they heard that it was one of his students, they found it unbelievable. They wanted to know where the original painting was and if they could have a chance to appreciate its charm. Li Xiaotian still shook his head. I'm not the one keeping the original painting. I can't get my hands on it, so I can't show it to you. What a pity, what a pity. Qi Shaoan let out a long sigh. Li Xiaotian changed the topic and asked, Where are you going? Oh, I'm Tang Zheng. I'm going to see the charm of archaeology. Li Xiaotian suddenly had an idea and asked, Can I go with you? Of course. Let's go together. Qi Shaoan readily agreed. Li Xiaotian walked to Tang Zheng's side and asked in a low voice, Why is this old man so enthusiastic? He's like a completely different person from yesterday. Tang Zheng shook his head and smiled bitterly. He wants to take me as his disciple. Li Xiaotian couldn't help but laugh. Oh, so you're quite popular? By the way, how did you determine the authenticity of those things yesterday? It's just a feeling, Tang Zheng said lightly. Li Xiaotian pursed his lips and pretended to be mysterious. Is this a secret skill of cultivators? Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. He wasn't sure if this was a common skill of cultivators, especially the airflow in the bronze mask. If other cultivators could also sense that airflow and then absorb it, wouldn't they be able to quickly increase their cultivation? Besides, what was so special about that bronze mask? He couldn't tell at the moment and could only say perfunctorily, maybe. Cultivators have so many magical things. It seems that the legends are true. No wonder the people of Wuzong hate you to the core. You have too many advantages in many aspects. Li Xiaotian said meaningfully. Why does Wuzong want to kill cultivators so badly? I don't think all martial artists are prejudiced against cultivators. In this world, only Wuzong hates you. There is a historical reason for this because Wuzong was created by New Era's descendants to guard against you cultivators. New Era's descendants? Tang Zheng was shocked. He had a deep impression of this legendary figure from hundreds of years ago. He actually used such a great method to expel such a powerful cultivator to the sky beyond heaven. Weren't all the cultivators expelled back then? Isn't it unnecessary to create a Wuzong? Tang Zheng asked suspiciously. Li Xiaotian shook her head and said, it seems that you don't know much about what happened at that time. I only know a few words, but after the cultivators were expelled, it didn't take long for some other cultivators to emerge. These were some people who obtained the cultivation method left behind by the cultivators by chance. The purpose of the martial sect was to eliminate these people. Tang Zheng suddenly realized, but he also felt a chill in his heart. New Era really wanted to kill all the cultivators. He did not want a cultivator to exist in this world. After hundreds of years, there are very few cultivators, so I'm very surprised that you can still become a cultivator. Furthermore, your master's cultivation is so high that he was able to avoid being hunted down by Wuzong for so many years. It's truly a miracle. Li Xiaotian praised. Tang Zheng said that Tian Chanzi did not cultivate to such a high realm bit by bit, but was the result of his rebirth. What are you two whispering about? Hurry up and get in the car. Qi Shaowen stopped a taxi and called out. The taxi went straight to Pan Garden. It was the first time for Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian to set foot here. This was a huge antique trading market. It was bustling with people, and there were all kinds of real or fake antiques. Qi Shaowen brought the two of them to an antique shop called the Imperial Treasure House. As soon as they stepped through the door, Tang Zheng felt a vast ancient aura blow against his face. He could not help but gasp. There were many treasures in this shop. This aura was condensed from many real antiques. An old man with a white beard wearing a long robe walked over and shouted, "Old Qi, how come you're willing to come to my little place? Don't you have classes today?" Qi Shaowen's face was glowing as he said, "Old Wei, I've brought my apprentice here today to experience the charm of archaeology. Of course I'd pick your shop. In the entire Panjiayuan Gardens, you're the one with the most treasures." This old man with a white beard was the one who spoke to Qi Shaowen on the phone yesterday. He was also the one who discovered the true mystery of the Twinkle Gem Pagoda. Old Wei stared at Qi Shaowen as if he was looking at an alien. "Old Qi, when did you take in a disciple? I thought you never took in disciples." Qi Shaowen chuckled. "That was in the past. Now I've met a genius, the future star of the archaeology world. Of course I can't let go of such a piece of unpolished jade." As he spoke, he looked at Tang Zheng with a burning gaze. Old Wei was enlightened. "What did you say about the future star yesterday? Was it not a joke? Was it real?" "Of course it was real. But let me tell you, you're done for. Don't think about such good things. I'm taking this disciple. No one else can compete with me." Qi Shaowen said eagerly, as if he was declaring his sovereignty. Old Wei was shocked. He and Qi Shaowen had been classmates since they were young and had been close friends for many years. He had never seen Qi Shaowen so attentive to anyone. He could not help but look curiously at Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian. Huh. This young man's aura was strange. There was a kind of domineering aura. It was almost impossible for a young man to have this kind of aura. It would only appear in people of high status. Old Wei's eyes flashed as if he wanted to see through Tang Zheng. But in the end, he could not see through Tang Zheng even with his decades of experience in antiques. Huh. This little girl's temperament was not simple either. He could vaguely sense a fierce aura. These two were so young, but why did they give off such an extraordinary feeling? This was the taste. Ordinary people would not have such feelings when looking at Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian, but Old Wei was the owner of this imperial treasury. He had been dealing with different people for decades. Moreover, he had been going through all kinds of real and fake antiques all day long. He had developed a pair of sharp eyes. "Old Qi, who's the disciple you're talking about?" Old Wei could not make up his mind. Qi Shaowen pointed at Tang Zheng and said, "Hey, this is the future star of the archaeological world." Tang Zheng was thick-skinned. He did not blush at such a compliment. Instead, he looked at the imperial treasury curiously. There were many antiques in the shop, including jade, calligraphy, paintings, ceramics, bronze, iron, and so on. Each of them had a kind of vicissitudes of life. which meant that all the antiques in this shop were authentic. This was the amazing part. It was rare for a shop to guarantee that all the antiques were authentic. After listening to Qi Shaowen's introduction, Old Wei stared straight at Tang Zheng. After a while, he said, "Old Qi, where did you find him?" "He's this year's undergraduate student at Yenqing University." "I've really found a treasure." "You said he's a genius. What proof do you have?" Old Wei was skeptical. He had lived for so many years and had seen so many so-called geniuses. Therefore, he was not surprised. After all, many geniuses were just bragging. Qi Shaowen laughed. "I'm going to open your eyes today. Let's talk in the back hall." He was very familiar with the Imperial Treasury. He strode to the back hall. "You two, hurry up. Let me tell you, Old Wei has a lot of treasures hidden away. Today, I'm going to open your eyes and let you understand the real charm of this business." The number of treasures in the Imperial Treasury was well known in the Panjiayuan. However, most people could only see the antiques placed in the lobby. These were all for sale, and many of the treasures were not for sale. These were the treasures of the Imperial Treasury. This was the foundation of the Imperial Treasury. It was something that others could not compare to. Seeing his old friends so excited, Old Wei did not stop him. Instead, he went with them to the back hall. The back hall was slightly smaller than the front hall. The decorations were also simpler. There were even fewer antiques on the wooden shelves. However, when Tang Zheng walked in, his entire body couldn't help but tremble, and his gaze turned cold, because this time, not only did he feel an even denser ancient aura, he also felt a few slowly flowing streams of air. Especially one of the streams of air that was like a clear spring flowing on the stone floor. The clear and melodious sound caused Tang Zheng's mind to tremble. Chapter 338. Tang Zheng hurriedly followed the flow of energy. It was a three-legged bronze cauldron. The cauldron was engraved with lifelike patterns of flowers, birds, fishes, and insects. Tang Zheng was shocked. Could this be a Dharma artifact like the 9 revolving alchemy cauldron? He couldn't help but walk towards the bronze cauldron. The flow of energy became more and more obvious. He even heard the sound of running water. Tang Zheng could hear the sound of flowing water. The others saw Tang Zheng's action. Li Xiaotian was curious. Qi Shaowen and Old Wei exchanged a look. They were both surprised. Qi Shaowen, on the other hand, was relieved. He winked at Old Wei and said, "What do you think?" Old Wei's heart was in turmoil. He had brought some important guests to the back hall to admire his collection. However, none of them had shown such strong interest in this bronze cauldron. Only Old Wei and Qi Shaowen knew the extraordinary origin of this bronze cauldron. Old Wei's expression turned serious when he saw Tang Zheng's reaction. Strange. Old Wei gritted his teeth. Qi Shaowen chuckled. "My disciple doesn't appraise antiques the same way we do. He relies on his intuition." "Intuition?" Old Wei frowned. "That's too surreal." "That's because it's illusory to others," Qi Shaowen said boastfully. Old Wei was skeptical. He walked to Tang Zheng's side and saw him staring at the bronze cauldron with glowing eyes. "Young man, what do you see?" Old Wei asked curiously. "What's the origin of this thing?" Tang Zheng asked without looking up. "This is a bronze cauldron used for sacrificial rituals from 3,000 years ago. It has great research value," Old Wei said. Tang Zheng didn't care about the research value. He only found the flow of energy inside the bronze cauldron to be extremely attractive. He had already determined that this bronze cauldron was not a Dharma artifact, but an ordinary antique. However, it contained such a rich flow of air, and Tang Zheng had to figure out the reason for this. Originally, he thought that the flow of air in the bronze mask was just a coincidence. Now that it had appeared again, it was not a coincidence. It was inevitable. As long as he absorbed these streams of air, his power would advance by leaps and bounds. He would never let go of this opportunity. Noticing that Tang Zheng's expression was getting more and more serious, the other three's curiosity was piqued. Qi Shaoan asked, Tang Zheng, is there a problem? Tang Zheng shook his head and quickly found the other four antiques in the room. He asked them one by one what they were and what they were used for in ancient times. Old Wei was already familiar with his collection and answered them one by one. However, he had more and more questions in his heart. The few items that this young man had found so easily seemed to have something in common. Tang Zheng had already found this commonality, which was the sacrificial ceremony. These few items were all used for sacrificial ceremonies, including the bronze mask from yesterday. In other words, only the artifacts used in ancient sacrificial ceremonies would have such a unique aura. Ancient sacrificial ceremonies were often related to gods and the like. Therefore, the artifacts used for sacrificial ceremonies were probably imbued with this kind of spirituality. The flow of air in these artifacts was a kind of spiritual energy. This was similar to the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, but there were many differences. However, there was no doubt that it could improve Tang Zheng's cultivation. Do you have any more of these sacrificial antiques in your shop? Asked Tang Zheng. Sacrificial ceremonies. Old Wei was enlightened. He finally understood what these things had in common, and that was that they were all sacrificial objects. Why are you looking for these? Asked Old Wei suspiciously. Qi Shaoan chimed in, there aren't many sacrificial artifacts in the market these past few years, and only a few have been unearthed over the years. Tang Zheng couldn't help but feel disappointed when he heard that. Young man, you haven't answered my question yet. Why are you looking for these things? Asked Old Wei, his eyes shining brightly. Tang Zheng was taken aback. He was too excited and almost gave himself away. He quickly calmed himself down and said, it's nothing. I'm just interested in these kinds of antiques. Qi Shaoan's eyes lit up and he laughed in his heart. He was indeed a genius. Even though he had rejected Old Wei's offer so bluntly, he was still fascinated by the antiques he was interested in. This was true professionalism. Old Wei was skeptical. He said, oh, very few people are interested in these kinds of antiques. Qi Shaoan retorted, Old Wei, you're just being biased. In our line of work, we can be interested in anything. Why can't Tang Zheng be interested in sacrificial artifacts? Old Wei forced a smile and said, that's rare. Of course it's rare. Now you see it. This is his intuition. He has a natural sensitivity to antiques. None of us can compare to him. Old Wei sighed. Even he wouldn't have been able to identify all the sacrificial artifacts in the shop at a glance if he didn't have some prior knowledge of these antiques. After all, they were not of the same type. Could it be that his intuition was really that powerful? Li Xiaotian, on the other hand, watched this scene with great interest. She was also very interested in the cultivators. As a former expert in this world, she wanted to carefully understand what was so special about this group of people. Can I touch these antiques? Tang Zheng asked. Go ahead. Old Wei gestured. Tang Zheng's fingers stroked the four antiques one by one. The four streams of energy were quickly absorbed into his body and transformed into true qi. In an instant, the true qi in his body reached 5 inches and 8 parts. He just needed to absorb a little more and he would break through to the 6th grade of the foundation establishment stage. This was much faster than his cultivation speed. He carefully concealed the joy in his heart and returned to the 3-legged bronze cauldron. The others watched him with curiosity. They didn't understand his intentions. Li Xiaotian's eyes narrowed into slits. Her intuition was much sharper than the other 2 old men. She gradually realized that Tang Zheng's aura had changed. What's going on? He just touched the antiques. How could there be such a change? Li Xiaotian was puzzled. Tang Zheng took a deep breath. His hands were placed on the outer wall of the 3-legged bronze cauldron. Suddenly, the spiritual power was like a small river. It flowed through his fingers and entered his body through his meridians. Wang! Suddenly, a deep sound echoed in his mind. He didn't understand what was going on. The spiritual power that flowed into his body didn't converge in his dantian. Instead, it quickly gathered in his left pocket. Summer pouch. Tang Zheng suddenly realized that the spiritual power was actually converging in his summer pouch. Moreover, it was rapidly being absorbed by his summer pouch. Tang Zheng was surprised. He quickly probed his divine sense into his summer pouch. He found that the 9 revolving alchemy furnace was rapidly rotating. The spiritual power was actually being absorbed by it. Moreover, the 9 revolving alchemy furnace was emitting a bright light. The carvings of rare birds and strange beasts were vivid and lifelike. It was as if they were about to fly out of the furnace. Could it be that this spiritual power is very useful to the 9 revolving alchemy furnace and can even upgrade its grade? Tang Zheng guessed. In the blink of an eye, the 9 revolving alchemy furnace had completely absorbed the spiritual power. Its light increased and it was trembling non-stop like thunder. However, all of this was isolated by the summer pouch. Besides Tang Zheng, no one else was able to discover the slightest clue. Suddenly, the light completely converged. The 9 revolving alchemy furnace also stopped rotating. However, Tang Zheng's eyes bloomed with ecstasy. This was because the 9 revolving alchemy furnace had really been upgraded. From a yellow grade artifact to a profound grade artifact. This meant that the quality of the pills that Tang Zheng refined in the future would be even higher. Tang Zheng, what's wrong with you? The others saw that Tang Zheng seemed to be possessed and quickly shouted. As if waking up from a dream, Tang Zheng said, I'm fine. You still say you're fine? We called out to you so loudly just now and you didn't even respond. You scared us to death. Qi Shaowen complained. Ah, really? I'm sorry. Tang Zheng's mind was completely immersed in the 9 revolving alchemy furnace. He actually did not notice what was happening outside. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. Where's Elder Wei? Tang Zheng noticed that there was one person missing in the room. Qi Shaowen said, he had an important guest to entertain so he went out temporarily. Tang Zheng, now you know the charm of archaeology. This time, Tang Zheng did not immediately refute. Instead, he asked, Professor Qi, if I study under you, will I have the opportunity to come in contact with these kinds of antiques in the future? Of course I will. Let me tell you, as long as there's a major archaeological discovery in the country, I'll usually be there in person. Since you're interested in ritual objects, you can't let go of this great opportunity. Qi Shaowen said. Tang Zheng pondered. Without a doubt, if he studied archaeology under Qi Shaowen, it was very likely that he would come across similar antiques again. Then, he could absorb the spiritual energy in them and it would be very beneficial to his cultivation. Alright, I promise you. Tang Zheng nodded. Qi Shaowen was so happy that he almost jumped up. He held Tang Zheng's hand tightly and said, Haha, I knew you'd agree once you realized the charm. I was right about you. Don't worry, I'll pass on everything I've learned to you so that you can bring archaeology to a new height. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng suspiciously. She did not know why he had changed so much. She felt that the more time she spent with Tang Zheng, the more mysterious he became. It took Qi Shaowen a long time to suppress his excitement. He kept explaining the origins of the other antiques in the room to Tang Zheng. He even told him that many of them were related to famous historical figures. Tang Zheng was unwittingly attracted. Although these antiques were not as useful to him as the ritual objects, they had their own unique charm. Gradually, Tang Zheng was attracted to them. He could not help but feel that he was wise to choose archaeology when he filled in his application form after the college entrance examination. Otherwise, he would have missed such a great opportunity. Chapter 339. The three of them were interrupted by the commotion. When they walked out, they found the atmosphere in the hall was heavy. A few shop assistants were on guard while Old Wei stood in front of a middle-aged man with a red face. This man was tall, with thick eyebrows and a resolute face. He exuded an aura that made one's heart palpitate. Old Wei, I came here because I trusted you. But now that something like this has happened, my wife's life is in danger. Do you think I should tear down your shop? The man said in a deep voice. His voice was magnetic, but it didn't lose its dignity. There was even a hint of suppressed anger. Old Wei hesitated for a long time before he said, I also don't know why this happened. Could it be that your wife fell ill because of some other reason? The man snorted and said, I've invited the best doctors in the country, but they couldn't find a single clue. This means that this isn't a medical problem. It can only be something else. Moreover, she only had a relapse the day after I gave her the blood jade. If it wasn't because of the blood jade, what else could it be? Mr. Qin, the blood jade doesn't have such side effects. Old Wei explained patiently. Is that so? But why did I hear that the blood jade is formed by absorbing fresh blood? It's not an auspicious item. Why didn't you tell me this when I bought it? If not, why would I choose a blood jade to give to my wife? The man said angrily. That's all nonsense. The bloody color in the blood jade is the result of the iron element, not blood. Humph, that's just your one-sided story. I, Qin Badian, don't like to bully others, but you've caused my wife's life to be in danger. Today, I have no choice but to be the bad guy. Qin Badian's face sank as he was about to make a move. Old Wei was so frightened that his legs went soft. Although he was famous in the antique industry, he didn't have any chance to retaliate against the person before him. The antique industry was filled with people from all walks of life. Thus, Old Wei understood the person before him very well. The other party was a true ferocious person. He came to Beijing alone more than 10 years ago. There were crouching tigers and hidden dragons in Beijing, but he relied on his own ability to make a name for himself. He was a person of the underworld and was a well-known figure in the underworld of the capital. However, he had gradually retired from the underworld in recent years. Instead, he had turned to business and was doing very well. He was a legend, but there was another thing about him that people loved to talk about, and that was the relationship between him and his wife. Qin Badian wasn't as fickle as other people in the underworld. On the contrary, he was extremely devoted and was extremely protective of his wife. He was an extremely good man. This time, his wife's life was actually in danger. One could imagine how intense the anger in his heart was. Stop. Qi Shaoan was enraged when he saw his old friend being threatened. He had always been in the ivory tower and did not know who Qin Badian was, so he stepped forward without fear. Seeing this, Old Wei hurriedly stopped him. Mr. Qin, a man is responsible for his own actions. This is my friend, please don't make things difficult for him. If you really think that your wife's illness is related to the blood jade I sold, then I have nothing to say. I can only let you do whatever you want with me. Qi Shaoan bellowed, Old Wei, have you gone senile? The legends about the blood jade were all lies and lies. What era are we in now? Why do people still believe in such nonsense? Qin Badian didn't rush to make a move. Instead, he glanced at Qi Shaoan and said, Old man, there are many things in this world that you don't know. Science can't explain everything. Some things are far more mysterious than you can imagine. You may think that the blood jade isn't the cause, but I believe that the blood jade is. If you dare hurt him, I'll call the police. Qi Shaoan refused to budge. Don't call the police. Old Wei hurriedly shouted. Sigh, Old Qi, you guys should go back first. I'll deal with this myself. But his face was ashen. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that he couldn't deal with this. Tang Zheng roughly understood the whole story. This shop had sold a piece of blood jade to Qin Badian, which had caused his wife's life to be in danger. Tang Zheng didn't immediately deny Qin Badian's judgment. After all, he was a cultivator and knew very well that there were many mysterious things in this world. Moreover, didn't he just absorb spiritual energy from a few antiques? Hence, some antiques had unimaginable uses and dangers. Tang Zheng took a step forward, standing protectively in front of Qi Shaowen and Old Wei. He looked at Qin Badian and said, "Mister, if you have something to say, let's talk it over. It's not right to attack an old man." Qin Baishan's eyes narrowed as he stared at Tang Zheng. He asked in a low voice, "Who are you?" "He's my student, my disciple," Qi Shaowen said impatiently. Qin Baishan's eyes flashed like lightning. He saw that Tang Zheng was as calm as an abyss. He didn't show the slightest hint of fear in the face of Qin Baishan's imposing aura. On the contrary, the aura Tang Zheng was exuding was not to be underestimated. "Mr. Qin, this matter has nothing to do with Tang Zheng. He's still a student, please don't lower yourself to his level." Old Wei saw that Tang Zheng had stepped forward bravely and hurriedly said. He was both moved and anxious. "Tang Zheng!" Qin Badian exclaimed. His gaze turned complicated as he asked suspiciously, "You're Tang Zheng from Yenqing University?" "Huh?" Tang Zheng was stunned. Qin Badian had actually heard of his name before. Qi Shaowen and Old Wei were also surprised. Could it be that Tang Zheng was very famous? Even this person knew of him. "That's me," Tang Zheng admitted. Qin Badian said, "I didn't expect to meet you under such circumstances. I've heard many things about you. My wife has also mentioned you before. You've even met once. But since you're here, I'll wait for 3 days. If my wife's condition doesn't improve, I'll really tear down the imperial treasury." The two old men were shocked. They didn't expect that the murderous Qin Badian would take the initiative to compromise after hearing Tang Zheng's name. Old Wei looked at Tang Zheng suspiciously. He couldn't see through him anymore. He asked in a low voice, "Old Qi, what's the background of this disciple of yours?" Qi Shaowen shook his head in confusion. He didn't know much about Tang Zheng. He also didn't know that just his name alone would have such a huge impact. It seems that the disciple I've accepted this time is not simple," Tang Zheng guessed. He was now infamous in the upper echelons of the capital. He didn't even give face to the Chu clan. Moreover, he had a mysterious master behind him. He was also the future son-in-law of the Ye family. No one would dare to underestimate him. This also showed that Qin Badian wasn't an ordinary person. However, he was curious about Qin Baishan's wife. He didn't know when he had met her, so he asked, "May I know who your wife is?" "Li Hongqin," Qin Badian said. "It's her." Tang Zheng suddenly realized. Wasn't Li Hongqin the private restaurant they had gone to for their dormitory party? Tang Zheng and Chu Xiaofeng had gotten into a conflict there. Li Hongqin had even given them a free meal. Li Hongqin was an ordinary person, but the person in front of him was definitely not ordinary. He was a true master. A master that even Tang Zheng couldn't see through. No wonder Li Hongqin dared to embarrass Chu Xiaofeng. It turned out that her husband was not simple. Hearing that Li Hongqin's life was in danger and that it was related to antiques, Tang Zheng's interest was piqued. "I don't know if it's possible for me to pay your wife a visit. I know a little about medicine. I'd like to see if I can help." Qin Baishan's heart skipped a beat. He remembered the rumor that the king of medicine had once wanted to accept Tang Zheng as his disciple. It was also said that Tang Zheng's master was also a master of medicine. It was very likely that Tang Zheng's medical skills were also very good. Perhaps there really was a chance for Li Hongqin to survive. Qin Badian thanked him sincerely. "Thank you very much. With your help, perhaps Hongqin really does have a chance." Qi Shaowen and Old Wei were dumbfounded. Did this kid know medicine as well? He wasn't a medical student. He was an archaeologist. But judging from Qin Baishan's attitude, it was obvious that he trusted Tang Zheng's abilities. Old Wei couldn't help but sigh. "Old Qi, this disciple of yours isn't simple. If it weren't for him today, this shop of mine really would have closed down." Qi Shaowen patted his old friend's shoulder and chuckled. Now you know that my disciple has made the right choice. Then there's no time to lose. Let's go now. Tang Zheng said. Tang Zheng, I'll go with you. I also want to see what's going on with that blood jade. Old Wei said. I'll go too. I've been an archaeologist for so many years, but I've never heard of anything like this. I want to see if it's true or not. Qi Shaowen still didn't believe that this was all because of a single blood jade. Li Xiaotian and Tang Zheng naturally didn't leave each other's side. Qin Badian looked at Li Xiaotian thoughtfully and agreed to their request. The group got into a car and sped towards the Qin residence. As soon as they entered the house, they heard a servant yelling, "Oh no, something happened to Madam. Madam has gone crazy. She wants to kill someone." Qin Baishan's face darkened. He shouted angrily, "What happened to Madam?" Seeing that the master of the house had returned, the servant said in a daze, "Madam suddenly woke up. Then she seemed to have gone crazy. She scratched and scratched everyone she saw. It was as if she wanted to kill someone." As she spoke, she raised her arm. Indeed, there were a few scratch marks on it. Qin Baishan's expression changed. He couldn't care less about the guests and rushed into the house. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian didn't want to be left behind. They quickly chased after him. A piercing scream rang out. This was Li Hongqing's voice. Tang Zheng found it familiar, but this shrill scream was completely different from the one he saw at the private restaurant. Bang! There was the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground. Then, a figure rushed out. There was a flash of cold light. She held a kitchen knife in her hand and waved it in front of her face. Intermittent screams came from her mouth. In addition, her hair was disheveled and her face was strangely red. There was also a blood-red peace buckle hanging on her chest. It must be the blood jade. Chapter 340. This person was Li Hongqing. Tang Zheng couldn't see the slightest trace of her past temperament. He only felt a strange aura lingering around her, causing his heart to palpitate. What color is this? The others were also shocked, especially Qi Shaowen and Old Wei. No matter how they looked at it, this person seemed to have gone mad. Qin Badian had a pained expression as he called out to Hongqing and rushed over. Li Hongqing's face flashed with malevolence as she brandished the kitchen knife, viciously chopping towards Qin Badian. Qin Baishan's eyes flashed with shock. He didn't know why his wife wanted to kill him. However, Qin Badian grabbed onto his wife's wrist. Li Hongqing struggled with all her might, causing him to stagger and almost fall. Everyone couldn't help but cry out in shock. This was truly unexpected, but Qin Badian was an expert after all. His reaction speed was extremely fast as he dodged the kitchen knife and hugged his wife tightly. Li Hongqing continued to struggle as she let out a sharp roar. Her eyes turned red as though she wanted to devour someone. "Hongqing, it's me. I'm Badian. What's wrong with you? Why did you become like this?" Qin Badian asked bitterly. Li Hongqing turned a deaf ear to his words as she continued to struggle and scream. Why does it seem like she's possessed?" Li Xiaotian asked hesitantly. Possessed? Everyone was shocked. That's right, Li Hongqing's appearance was very similar to that of the legendary evil. Qin Baishan's heart turned cold. If it was a medical problem, it would still be fine. But this kind of mysterious problem wasn't so easy to solve. He looked towards Tang Zheng as though he was asking for help. "Tang Zheng, do you have any ideas?" Tang Zheng didn't reply as he directly walked over. His finger reached for the blood-red safety buckle. Li Hongqing was wearing pajamas, and the safety buckle was about to sink into the gap between her breasts. However, Tang Zheng didn't nod his head. Qin Badian had a suspicious look on his face, but he didn't stop him. When Tang Zheng's fingers came into contact with the blood jade, Li Hongqing's eyes suddenly flashed with a terrifying light. Her screams grew louder and louder as her strength abruptly increased. She actually managed to struggle free from Qin Baishan's embrace as her fingers clawed towards Tang Zheng's face. "Tang Zheng, be careful," Qi Shaowen shouted anxiously. Tang Zheng didn't move at all. His finger touched the center of Li Hongqing's forehead at lightning speed, and the scream came to an abrupt end. She was motionless as if she had been paralyzed. However, her face was still filled with a ferocious struggle, which was very frightening. The others were dumbfounded. This was simply like magic. The others didn't understand what was going on at all. Why was she so quiet with just a finger? Qin Baishan's brows furrowed as a look of joy appeared on his face. They had been so confident just now, they didn't expect Qin Baishan's judgment to be correct. Of course, no one doubted the veracity of Tang Zheng's judgment. After all, he had calmed Li Hongqing down with a single finger. That alone was enough to stun them. Old Wei pondered for a moment before explaining. This blood jade and the three-legged bronze cauldron were both antiques from the same place. They were both antiques from thousands of years ago. However, Old Wei couldn't find out how useful this blood jade actually was. However, there was no doubt that the blood jade's color and luster were excellent. Hence, it was one of the Imperial Treasury's treasures. A few days ago, Qin Batian had specially made a trip to the Imperial Treasury to pick out his wife's birthday present. Coincidentally, this blood jade had caught his eye. Because Li Hongqing was a jade lover, Qin Batian didn't know much about antiques and jades. He only thought that this blood jade was very beautiful and thus bought it for his wife without hesitation. Li Hongqing also liked it very much. However, after wearing it for a few days, Li Hongqing fell into a semi-conscious state and eventually fell into a coma. Li Hongqing's body was usually very healthy. Qin Batian thought for a long time before suspecting that this blood jade was related to her health. He took the blood jade from his wife's body and tied it up high. He didn't expect his wife to wake up and find the blood jade and wear it on her chest. Then, was this blood jade used to be used for rituals? Tang Zheng asked. Old Wei and Qi Shaowen looked at each other and shook their heads in unison. We don't know about that. What's wrong with this blood jade? Why is it fine when it's in our shop, but this happened when Mr. Qin bought it? Tang Zheng already understood the reason. This blood jade was definitely related to rituals. Otherwise, it wouldn't have that kind of spiritual energy. However, this blood jade was obviously different from antiques like the bronze cauldron. This blood jade had indeed become like this after being soaked in fresh blood. Fresh blood represented slaughter. Hence, the spiritual energy contained in the jade was mixed with a lot of evil energy, causing the spiritual energy to become very aggressive. When the blood jade was in the Imperial Treasure House, it was placed very high, so of course, it would not affect people much. However, Li Hongqing liked the blood jade very much, so she always carried it with her. This spiritual power seeped into her body, which caused such a big reaction. Of course, he didn't explain this reason. After all, the things involved were too inconceivable. Thus, he said perfunctorily, I can be sure that her illness is related to this blood jade, but I can't say for sure. However, as long as she doesn't come into contact with the blood jade after she's cured, there won't be a problem. Qin Batian was a shrewd person. He instantly understood the perfunctory meaning in Tang Zheng's words. However, he didn't think too much about it. As long as Tang Zheng could cure his wife, everything else was insignificant. Old Wei apologized, Mr. Qin, I'm really sorry. I didn't know things would turn out like this. I've never encountered such a thing before. Qin Batian saw that Tang Zheng had a close relationship with the other party. Although he was still a little angry, he didn't flare up. He said, no one knew about this beforehand, so I won't blame anyone. I only ask that Hongqing's illness be cured. Old Wei heaved a sigh of relief. If he didn't get Qin Baishan's forgiveness, then his imperial treasury would really come to an end. He couldn't help but look deeply at Tang Zheng, unable to hide his gratitude. Seeing his old friend's expression, Qi Shaoan felt proud. After all, Tang Zheng was his disciple. Although he wasn't the one who taught his disciple, he was still very proud and happy that his disciple was so capable. Tang Zheng, when will the treatment begin? Qin Badian couldn't wait to ask. The few of them went to Li Hongqing's bedroom. She was like a baby sleeping soundly. Her face was peaceful, and there was no trace of the ferocious and terrifying look from before. You all go out first. I want to treat her alone. No matter what you hear, you are not allowed to come in without my permission. Tang Zheng said in a low voice. A single man and a single woman in the same room. It was unavoidable that one's imagination would run wild. Qi Shaoan felt that it was inappropriate and was about to persuade him when Qin Badian said, no problem. We'll go out right away. If you need anything, just call me. No one will disturb your treatment. Tang Zheng nodded inwardly. I'll stay and help. Suddenly, Li Xiaotian said. Everyone looked at her in unison, but Li Xiaotian was looking seriously at Tang Zheng. Obviously, she wanted to know more about Tang Zheng. She didn't want to let go of such a good opportunity. And during the treatment of Li Hongqing, it would definitely involve many secrets of the cultivators. Seeing her resolute expression, there was no room for negotiation. Tang Zheng hesitated for a moment before nodding. In any case, she knew his identity. It wouldn't be a problem for her to witness the treatment. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if she really made a scene. The others naturally didn't have any objections. After a while, they all retreated. Qin Badian stood guard not far from the door, not allowing anyone to disturb them. Chapter 341. The room quieted down. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng and asked, what are you going to do now? Just watch, but don't make a fuss. What's the point of just breaking the skin? Tang Zheng reminded him. Li Xiaotian pursed his lips and said, don't worry, I'm not a blabbermouth. I'd like to see what tricks you have up your sleeve. Tang Zheng walked to the front of the bed. Li Hongqing was a charming young woman in her 30s, which was the age when she was full of charm, but at this moment, she was just a patient in Tang Zheng's eyes. Tang Zheng stooped down expressionlessly and pressed a few points on her body. Her eyes immediately opened, revealing a murderous aura. Ah! She screamed and sat up straight. She immediately threw herself at Tang Zheng, but Tang Zheng's palm landed on her head. Whoosh! Her face immediately turned a strange shade of red, and her body glowed red. The temperature in the room plummeted, sending chills down one's spine. Li Xiaotian's eyes widened as he watched. He didn't know why there was such a huge reaction. How would Tang Zheng deal with it? Tang Zheng urged his power, and the true qi continuously flowed from the top of her head into his body as if he was suddenly enlightened. Li Hongqing's screams grew louder and louder, as if she wanted to rip the roof off. Tang Zheng remained expressionless. Li Xiaotian wanted to stop him, but he remembered Tang Zheng's instructions and held himself back. Outside the room, Qin Badian was pacing back and forth. When he heard his wife's screams, his body trembled. He wanted to rush in and share her pain, but he held himself back and looked anxiously at the door. Old Wei and Qi Shaoan exchanged glances. Old Wei asked worriedly, Old Qi, how much do you know about your disciple? Qi Shaoan only knew that Tang Zheng was talented in archaeology, but knew nothing about other things. He shook his head resentfully. Old Wei glanced at Qin Badian and hesitantly asked, Mr. Qin, what is the identity of this Tang Zheng? Qin Badian halted his steps as he stared at the two of them in bewilderment. Tang Zheng stood out for them, yet they didn't know about Tang Zheng's identity. How strange. Of course, he was not one to casually judge others, so he did not reveal Tang Zheng's identity. He simply said, in short, he is not an ordinary person. Old Wei understood the meaning behind Qin Badian's words. Even Qin Badian didn't dare to underestimate Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's identity was simply too mysterious. He sighed to Qi Shaoan, Old Qi, you've really taken in a good disciple. Of course. Qi Shaoan was a little smug. Inside the bedroom, the screams grew softer and softer. The red light on Li Hongqing's body grew brighter and brighter, but this didn't mean that her situation was getting worse. Instead, it meant that the red light was being forced out of her body. Tang Zheng continued to circulate his inner energy, slowly extracting the red light from her body. Suddenly, Tang Zheng let out a low shout and slapped her back. Bang! With a muffled sound, Li Hongqing's body fell forward. With a whoosh, the red light left Li Hongqing's body and soared into the air, hovering above the ceiling. Li Hongqing closed her eyes and fell back into a deep sleep. Her expression was serene, without a trace of the ferocious expression she had just now. Li Xiaotian watched this scene in astonishment, especially when she saw the red light on the ceiling. She couldn't contain her excitement. It was impossible for a martial artist's healing to appear like this. Only the world of cultivators could be so colorful. She couldn't help but exclaim, "I'm a little envious of you." This kind of supernatural power far surpasses that of a martial artist. Tang Zheng didn't answer. Instead, he stared at the red light and thought to himself, the blood jade has been absorbing spiritual energy for thousands of years to nourish this thing. This red light was a consciousness nourished by the blood jade's spiritual energy. In other words, the blood jade was about to become a spirit. However, even if it had become a spirit, it was still too vicious. It was definitely not a kind soul, which was why it harmed Li Hongqing. This thing can't be left alive. Moreover, I can increase my cultivation by absorbing this spiritual energy. Killing two birds with one stone. Why not? The red light seemed to have sensed the threat that Tang Zheng posed to it. It hesitated on the roof, but the room's doors and windows were tightly shut. The red light had no chance of escaping. What is this thing? Li Xiaotian asked curiously. Tang Zheng turned a deaf ear. Li Xiaotian pursed her lips and said, "Forget it if you don't want to tell me. How are you going to deal with it? I don't think it's a living thing. It won't be easy for you to destroy it." Tang Zheng smiled mysteriously, then watch carefully. Tang Zheng jumped and pounced on the red light. The red light moved quickly and retreated a few meters in the blink of an eye. However, in this narrow space, Tang Zheng's movements were more agile. One retreating and one advancing, Tang Zheng's figure was like a ghost. He forced the red light into a corner in a flash. Then, he pounced on it with all his strength and grabbed at it with both hands. The red light tried to break out, but its strength was too weak. It was only a weak consciousness nourished by the blood jade. It relied on its instincts to do things. In fact, it was no match for a smart person like Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's big hand completely blocked the red light's path of retreat. Then, he grabbed the red light. The light originally did not have a physical body, but when Tang Zheng grabbed it, it was unable to quickly break free. Tang Zheng silently operated the Heart Sutra. His palm turned into a whirlpool. The airflow in the room changed rapidly and was constantly sucked into his palm. The red light wanted to escape, but Tang Zheng's palm was like a black hole, making it unable to escape. Whoosh! When the last trace of red light disappeared, Tang Zheng's face could not help but show a trace of red, but it immediately returned to normal. "How are you?" Li Xiaotian quickly asked. Tang Zheng was silent. He sat cross-legged on the chair and closed his eyes. This red light contained a strong spiritual power. In an instant, it rushed into Tang Zheng's dantian. He must immediately operate the ancient clear heaven scroll and transform this spiritual power into true qi. So, he did not have time to explain to Li Xiaotian. Of course, he was not worried that Li Xiaotian would have any malicious actions towards him. His strength was not as good as Li Xiaotian's. If Li Xiaotian wanted to harm him, Li Xiaotian could do it at any time. There was no need to wait for him to cultivate. Seeing that Tang Zheng did not say a word and seemed to be cultivating, Li Xiaotian curiously opened her eyes wide. She could guess that the red light was helpful to his cultivation, but she was not clear about the reason. He seems to be very assured of me. He is not afraid that I will harm him, Li Xiaotian said in her heart. She also sat to the side and stared at Tang Zheng. Little by little, the spiritual power was transformed into true qi. The true qi in his body rose steadily. It quickly crossed the threshold of the 6th grade foundation establishment and continued to rise. The spiritual power in this blood jade is much richer than the spiritual power I absorbed before, Tang Zheng secretly exclaimed. Hoo-hoo. The air around his body quickly fluctuated, like a small whirlpool, stirring the surrounding air into chaos. Tang Zheng refined the spiritual power while also absorbing the remaining spiritual power in the blood jade. He intended to refine all of the spiritual power in one go. This time, his true qi was like a straight line that quickly rose up. After a while, it broke through to 7 inches. He actually reached the 7th grade foundation establishment. Even he himself felt that it was inconceivable. The spiritual power in this blood jade was too abundant. But at this point, all of the spiritual power had been refined by him. He opened his eyes and found that Li Xiaotian was squatting in front of him. His eyes were wide open as he stared at him. Tang Zheng was startled and asked, "What are you doing? Why do I feel that your power has increased again?" Li Xiaotian couldn't see through Tang Zheng's cultivation. This was just a kind of intuition. Tang Zheng didn't deny it and said with a smile, "Is this a woman's 6th sense? But, it feels very right." Li Xiaotian was bewildered and said, "Could it be because you absorbed that red light?" Seeing Tang Zheng nod, Li Xiaotian sighed. Cultivators are really a powerful existence. No wonder when cultivators and martial artists coexisted, cultivators were superior. You don't need to be afraid. Nowadays, the strength of martial artists can't be underestimated. For example, am I not your opponent now? Li Xiaotian curled his lips and said, "Don't think that I don't know about you. How many days have you been cultivating and how many years have I been practicing martial arts? There is simply no comparison." Tang Zheng sighed. This two-faced woman really understood. With his speed, ordinary martial artists would definitely be unable to catch up. Even many cultivators would find it difficult to catch up. After all, he was the legendary Skywalker, a kind of abnormal cultivation genius. The more I know about cultivators, the more I feel that what the martial organization is doing is right. People like you are too dangerous. We must not let you grow stronger. Tang Zheng was speechless. Was there a need to be so serious? I have to correct your point of view. Cultivators and martial artists are the same. They are all human. You don't have to decide whether we are suitable to survive in this world because this is our right. Tang Zheng argued. Li Xiaotian smiled coldly and said, "If I really fully agree with the martial organization, you would be dead by now. Why would I talk nonsense with you?" Tang Zheng shivered. Indeed, the situation was not too bad. How is she now? Li Xiaotian pointed at Li Hongqing and asked. She has already recovered. The main thing is that the red light controlled her body and mind, which is why this phenomenon occurred. And, you can think of this as being possessed. Tang Zheng found an easy-to-understand explanation. I forgot to tell you. This Qin Badian is not an ordinary person. You saved his wife. I think he will be deeply grateful to you in the future. Li Xiaotian grasped a lot of information. When he knew Qin Baishan's name, he naturally remembered the information about him. Tang Zheng did not feel much. He did not save people to ask for anything in return. Moreover, the blood jade's spiritual power had benefited him a lot. Other benefits were secondary. Li Hongqing suddenly moved, and the two of them stopped talking. They looked at the bed together, only to see Li Hongqing slowly wake up. When she saw Tang Zheng, she couldn't help but exclaim, "Hey, Tang Zheng, why are you in my house?" Chapter 342. Tang Tangjing smiled and advised, don't move so quickly. Your body is very weak. I'll call Mr. Qin in. What's the point of breaking your skin? Tang Tangjing pushed open the door and said, you can come in now. Qin Badian rushed in like a gust of wind. When he saw his wife lying on the bed with her eyes open, he was pleasantly surprised and said excitedly, Hongqing, you've recovered. Li Hongqing looked at her husband suspiciously and asked, what happened to me? You don't remember? Li Hongqing was at a loss and said, I don't know what happened. Tang Jing explained, it's good that you don't remember. Rest well for a few days and you'll be fine. Qin Badian turned to Tang Jing and said, Tang Jing, I really don't know how to thank you. If you need anything in the future, Qin Badian, will do my best to help. Tang Jing smiled faintly and said, Mr. Qin, you're too kind. It's just a small matter. Li Hongqing was still at a loss, but it was obvious that Tang Jing had done something extraordinary to make her husband lose his composure. Qi Shaoan and Old Wei were completely relieved. Li Hongqing was saved and the Imperial Treasure House's reputation was saved. Mr. Qin, I'll return this blood jade to its rightful owner. Tang Jing spread out his hands and said. Qin Badian looked at the blood jade cautiously and didn't reach out to take it. He regretted buying this blood jade and letting his wife go through so much suffering. This thing. Qin Badian stuttered. Tang Jing knew what he was worried about and explained, this blood jade is no longer dangerous. Li Hongqing looked at the blood jade and said in surprise, isn't this the blood jade you gave me? Since Boss Li likes it so much, I'll return it to its rightful owner. Tang Jing had no use for the blood jade so he directly handed it to Li Hongqing. Qin Badian wanted to refuse but when he saw his wife's heartfelt joy, he swallowed his words. Since Tang Jing said that blood jade would not cause any more trouble, he was relieved. It's getting late, I'll get someone to prepare a meal. Today, I must drink with you to my heart's content. Qin Badian said in a heroic manner. Tang Jing waved his hand. No, Boss Li is still very weak. You should spend more time with her. I have to go back to school. Qin Badian tried to persuade them to stay, but seeing that the other party had already made up his mind, he didn't continue persuading them. Only after sending them out of the district did he stop. Tang Jing noticed that Qi Shaoan and Old Wei were looking at him strangely. It was as if they were trying to figure him out like a Xiaobai rat. In the end, Qi Shaoan couldn't help but ask, Tang Jing, how did you become so capable? You even know how to heal people? Tang Jing smiled embarrassedly. I once learned a little from a country bum. If that's what you've learned, then the doctors in those hospitals are nothing. Qi Shaoan didn't believe him. Tang Jing's skills were eye-opening. Old Wei was old and experienced, and he already knew that Tang Jing was not an ordinary person. He wanted to be close to him, so he hurriedly smoothed things over and said, Old Qi, you don't need to care about these small details. For you to have taken in such a good disciple, it really is your fortune from 8 lifetimes. You should be happy. Qi Shaoan couldn't hide his joy. Of course I'm happy. Tang Jing, this time you saved me from a disaster. If it weren't for you, I really don't know what would have happened. So I really don't know how to thank you. Old Wei said sincerely. Tang Jing smiled. You're Professor Qi's good friend. This is what I should do. At such a young age, he was neither arrogant nor rash. His magnanimity was commendable. The 2 old men couldn't help but praise him. At noon, Old Wei treated them to a sumptuous lunch to express his gratitude. After that, Tang Jing and the other 2 returned to Yenqing University. Qi Shaoan accepted his only disciple with satisfaction. He reminded Tang Jing to study hard and then went back to his office happily. Tang Jing went back to his dorm. Li Xiaotian couldn't enter the male dorm so he wandered around the campus. When Tang Jing returned to his dorm, the 3 of them stared at him as if he was a monster. Tang Jing was puzzled. He asked, why are you 3 looking at me like that? Third brother, are you going to let us live? What's wrong? Professor Qi pestered you to be his disciple. Is this true? Zhou Yan asked. Tang Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Don't make it sound so bad. What do you mean by pestering? Sinosaurus put his arm around Tang Jing's shoulder and said enviously, TSK, don't think that we don't know what happened because we weren't there. That's right next to the archaeology department's building. So many archaeology students were watching. It's useless for you to deny it. Wang Shiji continued, I heard that Professor Qi wants you to study for a master's degree and a doctorate. You don't know how difficult it is to get a master's degree and a doctorate at Yenqing University. You can study for a master's degree and a doctorate without taking the exam. Many people are jealous. Zhou Yan laughed. What's the use of being jealous? This is our third brother's ability. Let them be jealous. By the way, this matter has spread throughout the archaeology department. Now you're a real badass. From the dean to every archaeology student, they all know your name, Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng was speechless. He did not want to be famous, so he hurriedly said, keep a low profile, keep a low profile. If you want to keep a low profile, then treat us to a meal. You must use delicious food to shut our mouths. Otherwise, we will spread your embarrassing news outside and damage your glorious image. Sinosaurus laughed sinisterly. Wow, I couldn't ask for anything more. Tang Jing said. Damn, OL3, you're too stingy. You're actually willing to sacrifice your reputation for a lifetime and can't even bear to part with a meal? The few of them fought for a while, and finally extorted a meal from Tang Zheng before stopping. There were no classes in the afternoon, so Tang Zheng rested in his dorm and slowly recalled his gains today. The 9 revolving pill furnace had already been transformed into a profound level magic treasure, and it had been a while since he had refined pills. In order to not let this skill become rusty, he had to refine some pills. But what kind of pills should he refine? He had not used up all the spirit-gathering pills. Moreover, he needed to use Ling Air to refine the spirit-gathering pills. Ling Air was still in the ordinary balance, so she could not refine the spirit-gathering pills. Other than the spirit-gathering pill, he had only refined the life-continuing pill. However, the life-continuing pill was extremely precious to ordinary people, but it was not of much use to him. He did not want to waste his energy on it, and he did not have the heaven-fragrant flower on him, so he was unable to refine it. F***CK, he died again. The opponent is too strong, he was instantly killed. Suddenly, Sinosaurus shouted, interrupting Tang Zheng's thoughts. Second brother, you're so bad at playing games, yet you still ran up to die for others. Don't you feel stifled? Zhou Yan teased. I've only just started playing this game. In a few days, when I'm proficient, I'll be the one torturing others. Sinosaurus retorted. Wang Shiji shifted his gaze away from the book and glanced at the game screen. He shook his head and said, Second brother, I think studying is more important. After all, the game is fake. Boss, you're really boring. Although the game is fake, isn't it great to imagine yourself as a character? If I had the ability to turn the world upside down, then I would be so happy. Sinosaurus said. Dream on. Huh, I'm just dreaming. People have to dream a little so that life won't be so boring. Sinosaurus did not mind. When Tang Zheng heard this, his heart stirred. Without a doubt, men would yearn to become stronger, and his 3 roommates were no exception. Originally, Tang Zheng did not wish to interfere with the trajectory of their lives, but ever since the demon god's blood essence fused into their bodies, it seemed that their trajectories had deviated. I'll definitely meet all kinds of opponents in the future. If they get caught in the crossfire, then wouldn't I be harming them? Moreover, they have the demon god's blood essence in their bodies. Although I've suppressed it, who knows when it will erupt? In addition, although Tang Zheng did not want to admit it, the world's cultivators were faintly showing signs of becoming stronger. Although Tang Zheng was very reluctant to admit it, Tian Chanzi and the demon god both wanted the cultivators to return. Tang Zheng did not have absolute confidence to stop the two. If one day, the cultivators returned, what if a war broke out? Did he have the ability to completely protect the people around him? After careful consideration, the answer was obviously no. The only way for them to be protected in the war was to increase their strength. Of course, Tang Zheng was a cultivator. It was impossible for him to turn them into warriors. Wouldn't that be cultivating enemies for himself? However, the current situation was not clear. This world was still dominated by warriors. It was impossible to rashly turn them into cultivators, because it would only harm them. But he had to make preparations in advance. Otherwise, if he waited until the last minute, they could only be rookie cultivators at most. They would not be able to protect themselves. In addition, even though his grandfather had an extra 10 years of life, if he wanted to live longer, he couldn't stop here. The life-continuing pill wasn't a long-term solution. The most important thing was to change the old man's body and turn him into a cultivator. That was the final solution. In the past, Tang Zheng was wavering, but after experiencing more and more things, he gradually adapted to his identity as a cultivator and accepted it. However, all of this was easy to say, but not so easy to do. He racked his brains, and studied the information in his mind countless times. Suddenly, a pill recipe appeared in his mind. This pill recipe was passed on to him by Tian Chanzi. It was called the Peiyuan pill. The function of the Peiyuan pill was to consolidate one's foundation and build a foundation for cultivation. It would subtly improve a person's physique, which would be more beneficial for cultivation. The Peiyuan pill was not very useful for people who had already become cultivators. It was most useful for people who wanted to become cultivators. This was because it was to build a foundation for them. Once their foundation was solid, they would be able to cultivate the corresponding techniques with half the effort. This is it. I want to refine the Peiyuan pill. Firstly, I want to consolidate my alchemy skills. Secondly, I want to prepare for a rainy day and make plans for the future of the people around me. The three people in room 502 were completely unaware that their life trajectory had undergone a huge change at this moment. Because of Tang Zheng's thoughts, they would embark on a completely different path. Chapter 343. The next day, there was a small plate of peanut-sized snacks in room 502. Sinosaurus walked in and casually grabbed one and asked, "Third brother, what is this?" "A friend gave it to me as a specialty. Geba's products are passed down," Tang Zheng casually said. "Specialty? Why does it taste like candy? Is it delicious?" "It's alright, try it," Tang Zheng suggested. Sinosaurus threw one into his mouth, but it did not melt in his mouth. Instead, it made crunching sounds as he chewed, but it was still very fragrant. Sinosaurus's eyes lit up. It's quite delicious. Eat more if it's delicious." "That's right, remember to leave some for boss and fourth brother." Tang Zheng gave a knowing smile. Of course these were good things. These were all Peiyuan Dan that he refined, and the raw materials for the Peiyuan Dan did not require expensive medicinal ingredients, which was why he was able to refine them in such large quantities. Moreover, after the 9 revolving pill furnace was upgraded, refining pills was much faster. He could even refine pills in his Sumra pouch, which was very convenient. These 100 origin cultivating pills were the result of his night's work. Origin cultivating pills were not like life-continuing pills or spirit-gathering pills. Origin cultivating pills could be eaten in large quantities at one time, so it did not cause any harm to the body. It was just like a small snack. Therefore, Tang Zheng used such a crude method. He directly threw them in the room for everyone to eat as snacks. It could also be considered as testing the origin cultivating pill's medicinal properties. Tang Zheng silently observed Sinosaurus, who had eaten the origin cultivating pills. He found that there were not many abnormal changes in his body, so he was relieved. The origin cultivating pills had long-term effects. If there was a significant change after eating it once, Tang Zheng did not dare to give it to them in order to avoid others finding out. Zhou Yan and Wang Shiji also came back and shouted, second brother, what are you eating? Why are you eating so happily? Here, third brother's friend gave me a specialty. Don't say that I ate it alone, I left it all for you guys. Sinosaurus said. Third brother is good, he didn't forget his brothers. Second brother, you were too ruthless last night, ordering such expensive dishes. Wang Shiji complained. Damn, I saw that you were eating the most enthusiastically, and you said that my food was expensive. Huh, third brother doesn't lack money. You won't be able to make him poor. Zhou Yan laughed out loud. He casually threw a Peiyuan Dan into his mouth and said, I've never eaten this kind of snack before. It's delicious. Third brother, next time, ask your friend to bring more. I'll pay for it. I don't have a lot, so I can't sell them. I can only go to him occasionally to get some as snacks for us, Tang Jing said. Sigh, what a pity. If this thing enters the market, its sales will definitely not be bad. We can make a fortune. Zhou Yan said. Tang Jing smiled. This was a good thing for ordinary people. Not only could it improve one's physique, it could also prolong one's life. Tang Jing could be generous to a few of his brothers, but he would not be so generous to others. Moreover, if this thing were to spread out, it would not be a good thing for him. For the next few days, Tang Zheng's life was very regular. During the day, he went to class, but Li Xiaotian still followed him around like a burden. Yi Dingdong's pursuit of him was even more intense. Moreover, with Feng Ximiang's guidance, the relationship between the two became much closer. During this period, Tang Zheng and Feng Shishir video called several times, which made his roommates cry out that it was unfair. He actually had such a beautiful girlfriend abroad. Lu Qingmei was still looking for a new job. Xiao Bai accompanied her all day and did not encounter any danger. Qi Shaoan attached great importance to his apprentice. He dragged Tang Zheng to Panjiayuan a few more times and visited all the antique shops. He also explained his archaeological knowledge to Tang Zheng on the spot. Tang Zheng learned a lot, but it was a pity that he didn't come across any more antiques related to sacrificial rituals. On this day, Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian just came out of the teaching building after class when they saw Feng Ximiang walking toward them. Feng Ximiang looked serious and said in a deep voice, "Little handsome, hurry up and leave." Tang Zheng did not understand and asked, "Aunt Feng, what happened?" "The Wuzong people are here." Feng Ximiang said with some trepidation and glanced at Li Xiaotian next to her. "Who are they?" Li Xiaotian asked. Feng Ximiang shook her head. "We don't know much about the Wuzong, but according to reliable information, the Wuzong people have already arrived in the capital." Tang Jing faintly smiled, and said, "If you want to come, then come, can I still hide? Besides, I am not the target of the Wuzong. The martial organization must have come because of the devil god, but the devil god had already disappeared without a trace. There were no traces of him in the school, and it was said that the school had already informed Gao Daji's parents of his disappearance. Gao Daji's parents could be considered to be a rich and powerful family in Changheng City. They even came to the school to cause a ruckus, but in the end, it was hastily settled." Feng Ximiang wanted to say something but stopped. She glanced at Li Xiaotian and held back. She was worried that the ordinary balanced people would be exposed. After all, the Wuzong people had died in their hands. Also, the Wuzong people were not weak. She might not be a match for them. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng with a smile that was not a smile. It was as if he was saying that he was the target of the Wuzong, yet he was still so calm. He was really brave. Tang Zheng was not worried at all. He had already thought it through. Sooner or later, he and the Wuzong would have a conflict. Whether it was a blessing or a curse, he could not avoid it. He simply opened the door to welcome the guests. On the contrary, it seemed open and aboveboard. It would not arouse any suspicion. Before the few of them could say a few more words, they were attracted by the two people who were quickly walking over from the distance. This was because one of them was an old acquaintance, Marshall. However, this time, the most eye-catching person was not Marshall, but the old man beside her. This person walked like a dragon or a tiger. His strides were very big. His body was even a little uncoordinated. It was because his bones were abnormally big that he looked like he was fat. However, he was really not fat. The key was his aura. These experts could see that he was an expert. This person was definitely an expert. The people from the Marshall sect came so quickly. Feng Xinyang frowned and sighed. Li Xiaotian laughed and introduced in a low voice, "This person is the third elder of the Marshall sect. He is a true great master expert." The Li Palace's intelligence network was very developed, so of course they had a good understanding of the Marshall sect. When Tang Zheng and Feng Xinyang heard this, their hearts sank. It was no wonder that the large families did not dare to go against these mysterious organizations. The other party only had a third elder and he was already a Marshall scholar expert. Who knows how many more powerful people there were. This was not something that the large families could contend against. While they were talking, Wu and the third elder had already arrived in front of the three of them. Wu's injuries had already healed, and he looked at Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian with a complicated expression. This time, she was heavily injured by the demon god, causing the Marshall sect master to be furious. Thus, he directly sent the third elder to deal with this matter. Furthermore, he had secretly given her a new mission. Since the demon god had appeared in the capital, then maybe the cultivator who was good at using the divine bow in the valley would also appear. The sect master's order was to find this mysterious cultivator, and it was even more important than the mission of hunting demons. However, only Wu knew about this mission. Even the third elder did not know about it. Marshall was very curious. Just who was this mysterious cultivator, to actually make the sect master value him so highly? She couldn't help but remember the jade pendant hanging on that person's chest. The word Marshall on it was deeply imprinted in her mind, unable to be erased. That person is a cultivator. Why would he have something from the Marshall sect? Wu was puzzled and could only temporarily suppress the doubts in his heart. You have the power to control the life and death of others. Bah, you really think highly of yourselves. Let me tell you, I am not afraid of you. If you want to deal with my son-in-law Tang Zheng, you have to step over my dead body first. Chapter 344. When the few of them heard Feng Xinyang's string of curses, they were immediately stunned. Even Wu looked at Feng Xinyang in disbelief. Guba Tian Zhuanji. Feng Xinyang's temper had always been fearless. Back then, she dared to contradict Yi Xuanji, but after coming to the capital, her fiery personality had been restrained a lot. However, deep down, she was still the original Feng Xinyang. This time, the third elder's sudden attack had finally ignited this barrel of gunpowder. She couldn't care about anything else and first cursed. This time, she had vented her anger. However, the third elder's face turned from red to green. It was as if he had changed his face. It was extremely terrifying. Li Xiaotian said with a smile that was not a smile, "There's a good show to watch now." As expected, the third elder roared. His body was like a flood dragon as he attacked Feng Xinyang. He was determined to kill her in one strike. Aunt Feng, quickly retreat. Tang Zheng leaped and blocked in front of Feng Xinyang. Because the opponent's fist intent enveloped him, it was impossible for him to escape unscathed. Therefore, Tang Zheng could only step forward bravely to buy time for Feng Xinyang to retreat. Seeing Tang Zheng risking his life to save her, Feng Xinyang shouted, "Little handsome brother, move aside." However, Tang Zheng had already gathered all the true qi in his body and poured it into his palm. When the fist and palm met, there was no heaven-shaking muffled sound. However, Tang Zheng's cheeks instantly turned red and then turned pale. He was as white as a piece of white paper. His arm broke under this punch. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. He endured the pain and did not cry out. However, everyone could feel the pain that went deep into his heart. Moreover, the opponent's endless power was still seeping into his arm and reaching his heart. It was about to break his heart meridians. This third elder was indeed merciless. It was a killing move. Feeling the surging inner strength, a trace of despair flashed through Tang Zheng's heart. Could it be that he was going to die like this? In the end, he still died at the hands of the martial sect. Whoosh! Tang Zheng's palm produced a huge attractive force, and the inner strength disappeared without a trace, as if it had never appeared. The third elder turned pale with fright. What was going on? How did his inner strength disappear? He hurriedly withdrew his fist and retreated, looking at Tang Zheng in disbelief. The others did not know the details and also looked at Tang Zheng in surprise. After all, everyone had witnessed the power of the punch just now. However, Tang Zheng had only lost an arm, and his foundation had not been injured. This was too unbelievable. Tang Zheng was also very surprised, but he immediately understood what was going on. This was the effect of the sky-devouring technique. He had snatched the devil race's cultivation method from Takashi's hands. On a whim, he had cultivated the heaven-devouring technique. Back then, the heaven-devouring technique had sucked away a few chairs and disappeared. He had once fantasized about being able to suck away the enemy and make them disappear. He did not expect that the heaven-devouring technique would automatically activate this time. However, it did not suck away the enemy. Instead, it sucked away the enemy's inner strength, saving Tang Zheng's life. However, this was also an unexpected surprise. He suppressed the joy in his heart and looked at his arm. He immediately frowned. The bones in his arm were all shattered. This time, he had suffered greatly. Feng Ximyang seemed to have woken up from a dream and hurriedly asked, Tang Zheng, your arm is broken. Do you have any other injuries? Tang Zheng shook his head, took a deep breath, and said, Aunt Feng, I'm fine. Feng Ximyang was still afraid and rebuked, why are you so unafraid of death? You actually don't care about your own life. Tang Zheng forced out a smile and said, I'm lucky. I won't die. Li Xiaotian looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. She knew that it was some mysterious cultivator's cultivation technique that had played a role. She was immediately horrified. Cultivators are really heaven-defying existences. Brat, where did you come from? Why can you still stand after taking my punch? The third elder had always been very confident in his ability, but this time, it was completely beyond his expectations. Tang Zheng let out a cold laugh, but did not comment. Humph, I have a way even if you don't say it. Then take another punch of mine. The third elder fiercely pounced like a tiger and arrived in front of Tang Zheng. His huge fist rushed out like lightning. Tang Zheng hurriedly raised his other intact arm and used the heaven-devouring technique. Suddenly, an invisible vortex appeared in his palm. When the third elder's fist came into contact with his palm, the inner strength that gushed out was absorbed by the vortex. Tang Zheng was not injured at all. He couldn't help but look at the heaven-devouring technique in a new light. Originally, he thought it was just a chicken rib. He didn't expect it to have such a great effect. It could actually devour the enemy's inner strength. After the third elder hit Tang Zheng, he found that it was as if he had hit a ball of cotton. It was soft and the inner strength that gushed out disappeared without a trace. What the hell? The third elder shouted and quickly withdrew his fist. However, an iron fan appeared in his hand and he pointed it at Tang Zheng's chest. Tang Zheng quickly retreated. The other party wanted to shake him with his inner strength. He could use the heaven-devouring technique to deal with it, but the other party used a weapon, so the heaven-devouring technique was useless. Humph, you want to escape? The third elder's heart was set. Although he didn't know what trick the other party had, it was obviously only effective against his fist technique. Against a weapon, he could only flee. Seeing that Tang Zheng was not a match for him, Feng Ximyang immediately rushed forward to rescue him, but the two of them were at a disadvantage against the third elder, and were in a dangerous situation. Li Xiaotian crossed her arms. She did not have any plans to make a move, she just wanted to see what else Tang Zheng was hiding, and furthermore, she wanted to force Tang Zheng to use the heaven-shocking bow, so that she could take the opportunity to snatch it away. Even though she and Tang Zheng were usually at peace, her goal was still to snatch the heaven-shocking bow, but Tang Zheng would not say anything even if she was beaten to death, so she had no choice. Now that he was in a desperate situation, she did not believe that he would still hide anything. Tang Zheng glanced at Li Xiaotian, but did not ask her to make a move like last time. He already understood Li Xiaotian quite well. She was a black-bellied girl. If she met other experts, she would still help, but the other party was the third elder of the martial sect and a great master expert. She would definitely not interfere. Sure enough, Li Xiaotian remained indifferent. This was the campus of Yenqing University, so this kind of fight immediately attracted attention. Someone shouted, "Someone is fighting, damn, an expert, is this a movie? Where is the wire, how did this person jump so high?" Everyone surrounded him as if they were watching a good show, completely unaware of how dangerous this was. Not long later, the school security guard also arrived. He waved the rubber stick in his hand and shouted, "What are you doing? Quickly stop." However, the third elder turned a deaf ear to him and shouted, "You too, die." The attacks became more and more intense, and the two of them almost couldn't hold on any longer. "Aunt Feng, let's leave this place quickly," Tang Zheng shouted. Feng Xinyang nodded. There were too many people here. If they continued to fight, it would definitely cause trouble. Tang Zheng leaped out of the crowd and shouted, "If you have the guts, come and catch me." Then, he used the earth-shrinking technique and flew forward. "Brat, when I catch you, I will definitely tear you to pieces." How could the third elder just watch Tang Zheng slip away under his nose? He jumped up and chased after him. The other three people also quickly disappeared, leaving behind a group of stunned spectators. Damn, I was so engrossed in watching that I actually forgot to take a video. A person patted his head and said regretfully, I didn't forget, I recorded it, I'm going to put it on the internet." This is too explosive. Who said that Huaxia martial arts were all flowery and impractical? This is the real Chinese martial arts. Someone praised. Others say that Chinese martial arts are not only for strengthening the body, but also for killing people. Did you guys feel the killing intent just now? Wow, if you didn't mention it, I would have overlooked it. Just now, I really did feel a kind of heart-palpitating feeling. I thought it was just an illusion, so it was the aura of an expert. Hurry up, put it on the internet, this video will definitely go viral. A moment later, a video and many photos appeared on the internet, and then an overwhelming number of reposts and comments appeared. Many people were shocked, but many people scoffed, thinking that this was all made by computer special effects, or some crew was shooting a movie. It was all fake. But of course, there are many people who believe that this is true, and say that this is the martial arts of Huaxia, and the two groups of people immediately confronted each other and launched a fierce discussion. Originally, these years, the debate about martial arts has been very fierce, and the country has also hosted some martial arts competitions, but those are really flowery and impractical, a group of sect leaders and disciples fighting in front of the camera, but they are soft and have no sense of strength at all, and are laughed at by many people. Some people who originally held a neutral attitude immediately joined the ranks of rejecting martial arts, thinking that the legends of leaping over eaves and vaulting over walls are deliberately exaggerated by some people. In fact, there is no martial arts at all. Huaxia's martial arts are in such an awkward position. Although it is called Chinese martial arts, in fact, it has declined in China. Many of the so-called famous sects are flowery and impractical, and martial arts have become dancing skills, which look very beautiful, but the actual combat is very poor. This is very different from Taekwondo, Muay Thai, Western fighting skills, Aikido, and so on, which are vigorously promoted by the power of the country abroad. These foreign fighting skills are very popular in Huaxia, making a lot of money and winning a lot of reputation. Many people have criticized Huaxia countless times, thinking that the foreign martial arts are the best, and their own martial arts are the dregs, and they are abandoned like worn-out shoes. This video shocked many people who believe in Hua Xia's martial arts, and immediately had real evidence to fight back. But soon, some of the so-called famous sects jumped out and said that these are all fake, that they are all movie special effects, and that it is impossible for such martial arts to exist in the world. This is another blockbuster, and even the people in the martial arts world said so. Then, everyone is one-sided in criticizing Chinese martial arts, thinking that this is a hype by some people with ulterior motives. This made many people who believed in martial arts very hurt. The two groups of people fought back and forth on the internet. However, the layman enjoyed the show, while the experts enjoyed the skill. This video quickly spread abroad and into the eyes of some experts, causing many unexpected reactions. Chapter 345. Of course, Tang Zheng and the others did not know that their battle video would cause such a huge reaction on the internet. Tang Zheng was currently rushing towards the imperial city. Name Aio and Su, since the third elder was a grandmaster stage expert and he was no match for him, then he would let those who could deal with him take care of him. His movement technique was very fast, using the earth shrinking technique. Furthermore, he was obviously much more familiar with the roads in the capital than the third elder, so he left the third elder behind. The other three people followed behind as well, their speed a step slower than the third elder's. They were overwhelmed with shock. This Tang Zheng's speed was truly monstrous, to think that he was actually so fast. The few of them were too fast, and even the pedestrians on the road did not notice anything amiss. They rushed over like a whirlwind. Whiz! Tang Zheng leaped up, flipped over the tall city walls of the imperial city, and jumped in, while the others followed suit and entered the imperial city. The imperial city was also known as the Forbidden City, and there were many tourists. Tang Zheng instantly disappeared into the vast sea of people. The third elder looked around, but he actually could not find Tang Zheng's figure. Brat, let's see where you can hide. Relying on his movement technique speed, the third elder also disappeared into the sea of people, constantly searching for Tang Zheng's whereabouts. The other three were a step too late, and discovered that the two of them had already disappeared from their field of vision. No matter how hard they tried, they could not find them. Feng Xinyang was the most anxious. Tang Zheng was far from being a match for the third elder. If the third elder caught up to him, without any help, he would definitely die. Li Xiaotian frowned, and muttered, Tang Zheng, you must not die, even if you want to die, you have to return my heaven-shocking bow to me. Wu's expression was the most complicated. She did not expect the third elder to directly take action and even disappear without a trace. She did not have absolute confidence in the success of this mission. However, the three of them did not sit still and wait for death. They quickly disappeared into the crowd, searching for the whereabouts of the two of them. Tang Zheng didn't really run away. Instead, he led the third elder towards a large hall. A moment later, the two of them arrived at their destination. The third elder raised his head and looked around, but found that there were people in all directions. It was so crowded that not even a drop of water could trickle through. This imperial city was indeed one of the most lively scenic spots in the capital. The flow of people was too great, it was simply a sea of people. Brat, where are you hiding? Just now, I clearly saw him escape into this great hall. The third elder muttered. Hey, are you looking for me? Suddenly, a hand rested on the third elder's shoulder. The third elder was shocked and immediately turned his head. In front of him was Tang Zheng. Brat, you're courting death. The third elder flew into a rage. Just as he was about to attack, he discovered that the surrounding scenery had changed. The sea of people had completely disappeared. What was going on? The third elder turned pale with fright. For a moment, he actually didn't understand what had happened. When he saw the bare stone walls around him, he realized that the situation was somewhat beyond his imagination. He looked at Tang Zheng in shock and asked, What did you do? Why are we suddenly here? What the hell is this place? Tang Zheng took a few steps back and laughed. didn't you want to kill me? There are no outsiders here, wouldn't that make it easier for you to do what you want? I'm asking you how you did it. In the blink of an eye, why are we here? The third elder asked with a murderous aura. Isn't your martial sect specialized in hunting cultivators? How come you don't even know the abilities of cultivators? Tang Jing sneered. The third elder's eyes immediately widened as he exclaimed, You are a cultivator. Tang Jing did not answer, but waved his hands in the air, and the heaven-shocking bow appeared in his hands. Seeing Tang Jing's move, how could the third elder not understand Tang Jing's identity? He suddenly realized, You are the mysterious cultivator that appeared in the valley. Tang Jing laughed coldly, Your martial sect really can't forget me, you must really want to kill me. Of course, the martial sect wants to kill all the cultivators in the world, and you are no exception. Humph, you have worn out iron shoes in vain, and found it without any effort. Brat, you are courting death, I don't need to spend so much effort to find you. The third elder pointed the iron fan in his hand in the air, and a huge wave of energy quickly attacked Tang Jing. Tang Jing's expression became serious, he pulled the bowstring, and with a buzzing sound, the bowstring vibrated, and an invisible arrow shot towards his opponent. Immediately, the two of them, one bow and one fan, were locked in a fierce battle. The air currents in the tunnel collided with each other, producing muffled sounds. However, the outside world could not hear anything at all. In addition, it was unknown how this tunnel was built, but it was actually incomparably sturdy. It was not damaged in the slightest during the battle between the two of them. With the help of the heaven-shocking bow, Tang Jing could even kill a pre-celestial stage martial artist. His strength had increased greatly, and he had purposely opened up the distance between them. However, the third elder was not to be trifled with. After all, the cultivation of the first stage of the Grandmaster stage was much higher than that of Tang Jing. After exchanging dozens of blows, the third elder had also figured out Tang Jing's path. He had the urge to run away. There were too many legends about dragons, and this kind of creature had too many mysterious abilities. It was not something that ordinary people, or even ordinary warriors, could provoke. Even cultivators were afraid of this kind of creature, let alone him. But the key point was, why would a dragon appear here, and where was this place, and where did this dragon come from? Seeing Tang Jing standing beside the five-clawed golden dragon, he was shocked. No wonder this brat was so confident, he had the help of a golden dragon. He did not know how Tang Jing got together with the golden dragon, but no matter what, this time he was in big trouble, big trouble. Seeing the third elder's expression, Tang Jing had already guessed the other party's thoughts and said, Don't you want to kill cultivators? This golden dragon is also a creature that only exists in the world of cultivators. If you have the ability, then kill it first. Otherwise, don't shout about hunting cultivators all day. Dragon Slayer? Don't joke, that was only a legend, and he had never seen anyone kill a dragon in real life. Even the person who trapped the five-clawed golden dragon here could not kill it, and could only imprison it. The third elder's mouth was bitter, and he was so dry that he could not speak. After a while, he said, Tang Jing, what do you want? You want to kill me, what do you think I will do? Tang Jing's face sank as he asked with a frosty expression. You want to kill me, the martial organization will not let you go. The third elder threatened. Tang Jing shrugged indifferently and said, Your martial organization will not let me go anyway. Moreover, who will know that I killed you? How can I kill you with my cultivation? That's right, outsiders would definitely not believe that Tang Jing had the strength to kill the third elder. After all, the difference in their cultivation was too great. Don't worry, your martial organization will not discover this place, so even if you die, no one will find out. Tang Jing said. Where is this? Under the Imperial City. If you don't know how to control the formation, you will definitely not be able to come here. The Imperial City, I never thought that there would be a dragon hiding under the Imperial City. Tang Jing sneered and patted the golden dragon. It's time for you to show your skills. The five-clawed golden dragon disdainfully said, This kind of ant is not worthy of me making a move. The third elder was called an ant by the golden dragon, but he had no way to refute it. Moreover, the golden dragon spoke in human language, which made him even more shocked. A mosquito is still meat. Moreover, if you don't kill him, are you going to let him starve to death here? That's too cruel. Humph, if it weren't for the fact that you are a celestial, I would be too lazy to make a move. The five-clawed golden dragon compromised. It seemed that it was rather afraid of Tang Zheng's identity as a celestial. The third elder did not know what a celestial was, but seeing that the five-clawed golden dragon seemed to be rather afraid of Tang Zheng, his mind became blank. Chapter 346. Seeing the five-clawed golden dragon's huge head crouching down, the third elder screamed and turned to run. He was not stupid and knew that he was not the golden dragon's opponent. Running away was the most effective way. Name Ai-O and Susei, but where was this place? This was the five-clawed golden dragon's territory. The dragon opened its mouth and a whirlwind soared into the sky and directly swept the third elder back. The third elder fell to the ground in a sorry state. Since he could not run away, he could only resist. He clenched his teeth and waved his iron fan. Whoosh! 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 The five-clawed golden dragon did not dodge at all. Instead, its eyes were full of contempt. Ding! 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 The hidden weapons all hit the five-clawed golden dragon's golden scales and splashed out sparks. However, the five-clawed golden dragon was not injured at all. Seeing this, the third elder's face was filled with despair. He leaped up and pointed his iron fan at the scales of the five-clawed golden dragon. Sparks flew in all directions, and a huge rebound force caused his arm to tremble. The iron fan flew out of his hand. The difference between the two sides was too obvious. Moreover, the third elder was almost scared out of his wits and did not have much strength to resist. Seeing this, Tang Zheng could not help but sigh. This kind of creature was really too heaven-defying. It actually had such a powerful strength. He wondered who imprisoned him here. The third elder did not have a weapon and his strength was greatly reduced. The five-clawed golden dragon did not bother to continue playing with him. The dragon opened its mouth and bit the third elder. The third elder quickly jumped up to escape. However, the five-clawed golden dragon was much faster than him. Under the dragon's power, the third elder's heart trembled and there was a kind of fear that came from the bottom of his soul. Crack! The sound of bones cracking could be heard as the sharp dragon teeth bit into the third elder's body. The third elder let out a heart-wrenching scream as he stared in horror at the huge monster in front of him. Let me go, don't kill me. The third elder screamed loudly. However, the five-clawed golden dragon's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. It raised its head, and the third elder's figure disappeared from its mouth. Then, with a gulp, the third elder was swallowed into the fifth claw's stomach. Tang Zheng also looked at this scene with some surprise. He didn't expect the five-clawed golden dragon to swallow him in one gulp. This was the real definition of being swallowed alive. The five-clawed golden dragon swallowed the third elder as if nothing had happened. Skywalker, why didn't Xiaobai come to accompany me these past few days? These two mystical beasts seemed to have formed a deep friendship. During this period of time, Xiaobai was by Lu Qingmei's side, which made the five-clawed golden dragon rather dissatisfied. It has its own things to do. Bring it back to play with me as soon as possible. The five-clawed golden dragon said discontentedly. Tang Zheng made an N sound, curiously looked at its stomach, and asked, You ate him, will you be okay? The five-clawed golden dragon said disdainfully, What can happen? Tang Zheng hurriedly said that it was okay. Skywalker, it seems that you have provoked a big trouble. Don't be killed before you can let me out. Tang Zheng had an idea and said, That's not necessarily true. What, didn't you promise me that you would let me out? Tang Jing provoked the martial organization this time. He didn't know how the martial organization would deal with it, but there was no doubt that he would have a lot of trouble in the future. The five-clawed golden dragon was so powerful, he didn't know what kind of special skills they had, so his mind became active. I did promise you, but if I die in the hands of others first, then I can't fulfill the agreement. Tang Jing said. The five-clawed golden dragon muttered, that seems to make sense. No, you are too weak. I have to let you live, otherwise I won't be able to escape. Tang Jing was overjoyed, but on the surface he said, oh, what can you do? The five-clawed golden dragon proudly said, I am a dragon, of course I have a way to let you live. I will teach you a dragon's cultivation technique. Dragon's cultivation technique? Tang Jing was shocked. Of course, this cultivation technique is called the Dragon God's secret art. There are a total of 9 layers, and it is my dragon's supreme secret art. As long as you train hard, it will definitely increase your cultivation faster. The five-clawed golden dragon said solemnly. Tang Jing was overjoyed and said, then I will thank you. Don't just thank me. Remember our agreement. The five-clawed golden dragon reminded him, then he raised his dragon claw and gently tapped on Tang Jing's forehead. Boom! A thunderous sound rang out in Tang Jing's mind, as if something had exploded. A golden light danced in the air, and then intertwined to form a passage of words. This was the cultivation method of the Dragon God's secret art. There were only a few thousand words, but it was incomparably profound. The opening was even more profound than the ancient clear heaven scroll. As for what realm you will be able to reach, that will depend on your luck. The five-clawed golden dragon said. Tang Jing nodded. He read word by word and began to study it. He began to cultivate according to the method. A moment later, a trace of hot air began to circulate in his body. This hot air was completely different from ordinary Jin Qi. It seemed that the power was much purer, and it flowed side by side with Jin Qi. But this air flow was still too weak. It was not conspicuous compared to Jin Qi. The physique of a celestial is indeed precious. You actually have a sense of Qi so quickly. The five-clawed golden dragon praised. Tang Jing was overjoyed. He was not in a hurry to continue cultivating. After bidding farewell to the five-clawed golden dragon, he once again returned to the main hall. At this moment it was close to evening, and the crowd of tourists were gradually leaving. Tang Jing mixed in with the crowd and found Feng Xinyang. Feng Xinyang's face was filled with anxiety, but seeing Tang Jing safe and sound, she could not help but let out a breath of relief and hurriedly asked, Tang Jing, how are you? Are you okay? Tang Jing shook his head. Only his right arm was broken, and when he pulled the heaven-shocking bow, he had to endure the pain. Now that he had relaxed, he also felt a bone-piercing pain. Where's that martial sect elder? Let's leave this place first. Right, let's leave first. The old man is already rushing over here. Since you're safe and sound, let's go meet up with him. Tang Jing was a little surprised. He never thought that Yi Xuanji would actually rush over to save him. Perhaps his relationship with the Ye family was getting tighter and tighter, causing Yi Xuanji to have no choice but to pay more and more attention to him. The two of them got rid of Wu and Li Xiaotian and left the imperial city. Then, they met up with Yi Xuanji and Yi Tianlei. When the two of them met, Yi Xuanji asked impatiently, where are the people from the martial sect? Dead. Tang Jing said calmly. Dead? The few of them were shocked. The other party was a grandmaster martial artist, how could he die? They all looked at Tang Jing at the same time. Of course, Tang Jing would not go into detail. He only said that the martial sect elder had died, and that no one would find his corpse. Furthermore, no one would personally see the martial sect elder die at his hands. Feng Xinyang had a stomach full of questions. Even though Tang Jing had killed the martial organization elder, there was no movement at all. This was too inconceivable. After all, if the two of them were to engage in an intense battle, they would definitely not be able to escape the detection of Feng Xinyang, Wu, and the rest. However, it was obvious that there were no signs of fighting in the imperial city. How did he do this? Even though she was extremely smart, she could not imagine that Tang Zheng had used an array formation to quietly bring the martial sect elder into the underground of the imperial city. Furthermore, there were too many tourists at that time, so no one noticed that two people had suddenly disappeared. Seeing that Tang Zheng was unwilling to speak in detail, the few of them could not force him. They were only shocked in their hearts, but they also felt that the situation was even more troublesome. The martial sect elder was not an ordinary person. His death would definitely cause a huge uproar, and would probably attract the revenge of the martial sect. This would be a disaster for the Ye family. Yi Xuanji looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated gaze. At that time, he was able to rope him in, but in the future, he did not know whether it would be a blessing or a curse. Tang Zheng glanced at Yi Xuanji and saw his hesitation. He said without batting an eyelid, "I'll return to the school first. If the martial sect people come looking for you, you can push the responsibility onto me." Before Yi Xuanji could say anything, Feng Xinyang and Yi Tianlei had already retorted at the same time. "How can that be? You and the Ye family are one. How can we abandon you just because a disaster is about to befall us?" Pausing, Feng Xinyang clenched her teeth and said, "Little handsome brother, no matter what the martial sect wants to do, we will accompany them to the end. Everyone else is afraid of the martial sect, but I am not. At most, we will see just how powerful they are." Feng Xinyang was not afraid of the heavens or the earth. Moreover, Tang Zheng was injured in order to save her, so with her personality, how could she leave him alone? Furthermore, he was her chosen son-in-law, so it was impossible for her to not save him. Yi Tianlei looked at the old man. He understood his father's difficulties, but towards Tang Zheng, he had no reason to back down. He said resolutely, "Tang Zheng, your Aunt Feng is right. We will advance and retreat together. If the martial sect really wants to punish us, at most we will fight to the death." Tang Zheng was moved. Facing the martial sect that other families did not dare to provoke, for the two of them to express their stance was already very commendable. Yi Xuanji, who had been silent all this while, raised his head and burst out with a shout, "Nonsense! What's the benefit of going against a martial ancestor? Don't look at how strong the Ye family is. If we really angered the martial sect, it would be a disaster for our family." The few of them were speechless. Yi Xuanji continued, "Moreover, there is no need to fight to the death. No one saw the death of the martial sect elder. As long as we keep our mouths shut, even if they have suspicions, they will not have any evidence. Although the martial sect is strong, they have to be reasonable. If they do not have any evidence, they will not be able to destroy the Ye family." Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang heard this and were overjoyed. They did not give up on Tang Zheng. This meant that Tang Zheng's position in their hearts had been consolidated. Tang Zheng looked at Yi Xuanji in astonishment. All along, he did not have a good impression of Yi Xuanji. Yi Xuanji's considerations were too focused on the gains and losses of benefits. This time, he actually supported him. However, he had to admit that the older the ginger, the spicier. Yi Xuanji's words were very reasonable. Although the martial sect was a large organization and could kill cultivators without fear, and was a great threat to the large families, if the other party wanted to destroy the Ye family without any evidence, it would definitely cause the other families to panic. It would cause them to dislike the martial sect, and the martial sect's prestige would fall to the ground. After understanding the details, everyone temporarily put their hearts back into their stomachs. Tang Zheng was brought back to the Ye family to heal. Just as night fell, the Ye family welcomed an uninvited guest. Chapter 347. These uninvited guests were Wu and Li Xiaotian. The two of them searched the imperial city several times but were unable to find Tang Zheng and the third elder. In the end, even Feng Xinyang disappeared without a trace. Name AIO and Susei, the two of them gradually realized that the situation had changed, so they came to the Ye family at the same time. When the two of them saw the bandaged Tang Zheng and Feng Xinyang, their expressions were completely different. Li Xiaotian was in disbelief, while Wu's face was even gloomier. "Where's the third elder?" Wu went straight to the point. Tang Zheng pretended to be at a loss and said, "I don't know either." "You don't know?" Wu's eyes narrowed. She was about the same height as Tang Zheng. Her eyes were like lightning, but Tang Zheng acted as if he did not feel anything and looked at her calmly. "The third elder is missing. I can't contact him, but you dare say you don't know?" Wu aggressively questioned. "Why should I know? He wanted to kill me, so I took advantage of the crowd to slip away." "Is there a problem with that?" Tang Zheng calmly asked. Wu looked at him suspiciously. In her impression, Tang Zheng was still stuck in the military training. Later on, she found out that he had a great realm master and that he was not weak. As a result, her disgust for Tang Zheng became even stronger. Previously, when the third elder made a move against Tang Zheng, she did not stop him. For those who dared to deceive her, it was already benevolent of her not to kill them with her own hands. The third elder is a great realm martial artist. How could you slip away under his nose? Furthermore, the third elder has mysteriously disappeared. Hearing that, Feng Xinyang could not help but retort, "What do you mean by that? Don't tell me that if that old man wants to kill us, we have to stretch out our necks for him to chop off." Wu glanced at Feng Xinyang and coldly said, "In short, this matter is very strange. He can't get away with it. As long as I don't find the third elder, I won't let him off." Feng Xinyang flew into a rage. "What do you mean? Do you want to kill someone?" "I'll say the same thing again. Don't think that you martial arts sect people are the heavenly king and can kill others. If you want to touch Tang Zheng, you'll have to step over my, Feng Xinyang's, corpse." Marshall did not comment. She looked at Yi Xuanji and asked, "Does the Ye family want to be enemies with the martial organization?" Yi Xuanji was also a little angry in his heart. After all, he was the head of a family and a master-level expert. How could he be threatened by a Xiantian realm martial artist like this? He forcefully suppressed his anger and indifferently said, "Tang Zheng is the Yi clan's future son-in-law. You guys want to kill him for no reason. This is something that doesn't make sense." Hearing the song, Marshall and Li Xiaotian immediately understood that the Ye family wanted to support Tang Zheng. The two of them understood the reverence the big families had for the three big organizations. This time, the Ye family actually dared to go against the martial organization. This was truly unexpected. Li Xiaotian's eyes narrowed into a thin line. He thought that this play was getting more and more interesting. The decision to come to the capital was really too wise. Marshall's eyes turned cold and said, "All right, I will remember your words. Since that is the case, then wait for our sect master to come and talk to you." Marshall left in a huff. She understood that since the Ye family wanted to support Tang Zheng, it was useless for her to stay. After all, she was not Yi Xuanji's opponent. However, Li Xiaotian stayed behind and looked at Tang Zheng with a smile that was not a smile. However, Tang Zheng acted as if he did not see it. This woman did not care about his life and death earlier, and probably wished for him to die. Yi Xuanji did not have any enmity towards Li Xiaotian. Now that he had offended the martial organization, he could not wait to rope in the Li Palace. Thus, he stood up from his chair and walked to Li Xiaotian's side and said, "Holy maiden, you have been in the capital for some time now. This Yi has not done his duty as a host yet. Why don't you stay for dinner?" Facing Yi Xuanji's invitation, Li Xiaotian agreed with a smile. Yi Xuanji was secretly happy. Although he did not understand the relationship between Li Xiaotian and Tang Zheng, as long as she was willing to accept his goodwill, it would be the first step to success. The banquet was sumptuous and the host and guests enjoyed themselves. "What did you do to the martial organization elder?" Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian stood in the garden, admiring the fresh flowers while Li Xiaotian pretended to casually ask. Tang Zheng stared at the fresh flowers under the night sky, as if there was a bit of flirtatious beauty, and calmly said, "What can I do to him?" "Humph, you are a cultivator." Cultivators have many mysterious methods, and it is said that they are very powerful. Could it be that you killed him? Tang Zheng's heart thumped. This two-faced woman's intuition was really accurate. However, on the surface, he did not have the slightest flaw, and said, "Don't joke around. He is a master-level expert. I can't even beat you, how can I kill him? Maybe she thinks that a small shrimp like me is insignificant and leaves on her own." "You are insignificant? Why don't I think so? Tell me, if I tell your identity to the martial organization, will you become very important?" Li Xiaotian asked with a smile. Tang Zheng felt a chill in his heart. He turned his head and stared at her. Their eyes met, and there were too many complex feelings in each other's eyes. Tang Zheng secretly made up his mind. If there was a chance, he must kill Li Xiaotian. This woman knew his identity. She was a time bomb, too dangerous. Of course, he could not rashly kill the other. Not to mention that he was not her opponent now, even if his strength surpassed hers, he must cleverly kill her. He must not attract the attention of others, otherwise, he would fall into great trouble. "You want to kill me?" Suddenly, Li Xiaotian asked with a smile like a flower. Tang Zheng's heartstrings trembled. This woman was too smart to be able to read his thoughts from his eyes. He hurriedly covered it up and said, "You must be joking, you are the high and mighty holy maiden of Li Palace, who would dare to kill you? Killing you is making an enemy of the Li Palace. Isn't that asking for death?" Hee, I didn't say that you would dare to kill me. You just want to kill me. Daring and thinking are two different things. But let me tell you one thing, I don't want to kill you, so give me the heaven-shocking bow as soon as possible. How about we go our separate ways? Pausing for a moment, Li Xiaotian added, "Furthermore, I can guarantee that the Li Palace will protect you. Even the martial sect will not dare to do anything to you. All of this, you only need to hand over the heaven-shocking bow." This suggestion was very tempting. Handing over the heaven-shocking bow could resolve the martial sect's troubles once and for all. If his heart was not firm, he would definitely agree to this condition. However, Tang Zheng already knew what kind of person Li Xiaotian was, so how could he easily believe her promise? He believed that as long as Li Xiaotian obtained the heaven-shocking bow, she would not hesitate to shoot him to death. This woman's heart was black. Tang Zheng acted as if he did not hear anything, and quietly stared at the flower. Li Xiaotian shrugged his shoulders, and said, "Let me remind you, the martial sect will not let you off. Don't think that with the Ye family supporting you, you can rest easy." Tang Zheng did not comment, as if he did not hear anything. Li Xiaotian left, and Tang Zheng followed closely behind. After confirming that he was not followed, he quietly went to Lu Qingmei's house. When she saw the bandage on Tang Zheng's arm, she immediately became extremely anxious and pulled him aside to ask questions. Tang Zheng did not explain in detail, and only looked into her eyes seriously. This was the first time Lu Qingmei had seen Tang Zheng so serious, and asked, "What's the matter?" "Sister Mei, I want to tell you something very important. This is a matter of life and death. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing for you," Tang Zheng said in a deep voice. Lu Qingmei's expression became serious, and asked, "As long as you tell me, no matter what it is, I am willing to know, without any regrets." Tang Zheng's head heated up, and he muttered to himself, "Sister Mei, in this world, other than ordinary people, there are two other types of people, martial artists and cultivators. I've heard of martial artists before. They're people with powerful skills. I heard that Yidingdang's family are martial artists," Lu Qingmei said. Tang Zheng nodded his head, and said, other than martial artists, there are also cultivators. Cultivators are even more mysterious, and their strength cannot be underestimated. Tang Jing spoke tirelessly, telling her the difference between cultivators and martial artists, as well as the various mysteries of cultivators. This was the result of careful consideration by Tang Jing. Lu Qingmei was an ordinary person, and she had no ability to protect herself. Since he had decided to let her practice magic, of course, he had to tell her these things. Moreover, Tang Jing decided to pass on the dragon god's secret art that he obtained from the five-clawed golden dragon to Lu Qingmei. Currently, he didn't have a suitable cultivation method in his hands. Moreover, the dragon god's secret art was definitely not weaker than the cloud water secret art that Fang Shishir practiced. It was just right for Lu Qingmei to practice this. Lu Qingmei was already stunned, and she looked at him incredulously. These words seemed to have opened another door in front of her, shaking her three views. It turned out that people could really fly over eaves and vault over walls, and they could also use magic. This kind of method was close to that of immortals. Suddenly, she realized a very serious problem, and quickly asked, Tang Jing, are you a cultivator or a martial artist? Cultivator. Tang Jing calmly said. Didn't you say that the relationship between cultivators and martial artists is not good? There is even a martial organization that specializes in hunting cultivators. Doesn't this mean that you are very dangerous? Lu Qingmei said with concern. Tang Jing nodded, I am indeed very dangerous. My injuries were caused by the people from the martial organization, but the martial organization is still not clear about my identity as a cultivator, so I am still safe for the time being. Lu Qingmei clutched her chest. In the past 20 years, the things that she had seen were not as big as this information. However, she was very gratified that Tang Jing told her this secret because it was related to his life and death and was the biggest secret. Him confessing to her already showed her position in his heart. Immediately, she felt as if she had eaten honey in the bottom of her heart. Then what are you going to do now? Will the martial organization still come to deal with you? Block soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. I am fine for the time being, but I am also dancing on a steel wire rope. At any time, I can fall off the cliff and be smashed into pieces. Chapter 348. Hearing her heartfelt words, Tang Jing was very excited and tightly hugged her. At this moment, the two people's hearts were closer than ever before. Name Ai-O and Su say, okay, I'll teach you the dragon god technique. Let's cultivate it together. If the martial organization wants to deal with us, it won't be that easy. Tang Jing said firmly. At this moment, Lu Qingmei remembered that her cultivation technique was called the dragon god technique. That night, Tang Jing and Lu Qingmei were both cultivating the dragon god technique. Under Tang Jing's guidance, Lu Qingmei's progress was very fast. Her profound Yin body was indeed suitable for cultivation. With the help of spirit stones, the two of them reached the first layer of the dragon god technique. Lu Qingmei directly reached the first grade of the foundation establishment stage. This made Tang Jing overjoyed. Her physique was even better than Fang Shishir's. Moreover, with the help of enough spirit stones, her progress was very fast. Speaking of spirit stones, Tang Jing couldn't help but frown. The air pollution in the capital was very serious and the heaven and earth spirit qi was even thinner than the ordinary balance. Using the spirit gathering pill to absorb spirit qi to cultivate was not reliable. Moreover, there were many experts in the capital. If the heaven and earth spirit qi fluctuated too violently, his identity would be discovered. Therefore, the spirit gathering pill was temporarily useless and the spirit stones were almost exhausted. If he wanted to quickly increase his cultivation, he had to find a substitute. He racked his brains for a long time and finally decided to look for pills. After searching for 10 days, he found a type of pill called the Dragon Origin Pill. This pill was full of spirituality. It was refined using hundreds of precious medicinal ingredients and the blood of a flood dragon as a catalyst. The Dragon Yuan pill was also a very precious pill in the cultivation world. Because of the flood dragon's blood as a catalyst, the effect was very overbearing and could quickly increase one's cultivation. The flood dragon is not a real dragon, but in existence before the flood dragon turned into a dragon. Using the flood dragon's blood as a catalyst has such an effect. If using the blood of a true dragon as a catalyst, what kind of effect would it have? Tang Jing curiously thought. If other people knew of his thoughts, they would definitely scoff and think that he was crazy. Flood dragon blood was not easy to find, let alone true dragon blood. The dragon was a very unique creature. It was completely different from ordinary demon beasts. Its status in the Xiaoshensen world was quite high. It was difficult for ordinary cultivators to see a real dragon in their lifetime, let alone obtain the blood of a real dragon. It was simply wishful thinking. As long as this topic is hyped up, your reputation will be famous. In the future, there will be reporters, television stations, and film companies looking for you, and then you will become a big shot celebrity. This time, the few of us can also benefit from it. Lao San, why don't I be your manager in the future? Zhou Yan was also eager to give it a try. Tang Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If he wanted to become famous, he wouldn't have been unwilling to expose himself even though he was the top scorer in the exam. In the end, he gave the opportunity to Takashi. Lao Si, how can you fight with me? Of course, this manager belongs to me. Sinosaurus volunteered. Lao Er, you are tall and strong. Being Lao San's bodyguard is not bad. For example, in the future, you will be responsible for the pursuit and interception of those fans. Zhou Yan said. That's a good suggestion. Wang Shiji nodded in agreement with a serious expression. Tang Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Stop messing around. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be famous. The few of them looked suspiciously at Tang Jing, confirming that he was not joking. They were all surprised, young people, who did not want to be famous, who did not want to be loved and respected by others, but Tang Jing was actually not moved by fame and fortune, he was truly a freak. Lao San, it's too late if you don't want to be famous. Moreover, this incident has caused a lot of discussion about martial arts. Some of the so-called experts and sect leaders of the martial arts sects on the internet have said that you are faking it. It is impossible for a person's martial arts to be that powerful. This has caused a lot of debate among the netizens. Zhou Yan said helplessly. Sinosaurus curled his lips and said disdainfully, I think those experts and sect leaders are all people fishing for fame. They are not as powerful as Lao San, so they are just making sarcastic remarks and slandering him. They are really too despicable. Wang Shiji said, but there are still a lot of people who support Lao San. Of course, the eyes of the masses are bright. Tang Jing shook his head. He really did not know how this matter would ferment. He could no longer control the things on the internet, but this reminded him that he had to be more cautious in the future and not let others catch him. After a day of classes, the few of them walked downstairs to the dormitory building and found a few people carrying cameras guarding the entrance. Tang Jing was stunned. Damn, he really attracted the attention of the people from the television station. In this moment of shock, a few reporters immediately noticed him and rushed over. They handed the microphone directly to Tang Jing's mouth and asked in rapid succession, "Excuse me, are you Kung Fu Bro?" Seeing that Tang Jing did not answer, the other party asked again, "Kung Fu Bro, may I ask if your Kung Fu is real?" Many thoughts and worries flashed through Tang Jing's mind. In the end, he made a decision. Chapter 349. Tang Zheng looked at the expectant reporters and said in a deep voice, "I will reiterate that I will not join any martial arts organization that only knows how to show off. However, if there is a chance to prove Hua Xia's martial arts, I am willing to do my best. Zish Di will eat well." The reporter was overjoyed and said, "Thank you, Kung Fu Bro. All the martial arts enthusiasts in the country will thank you. After so many years, no one has stood up for martial arts, and you have done a deed of boundless virtue." Tang Jing smiled and said, "I am not as noble as you say. I am only doing what I can. However, I can tell those doubters that you all swear that Hua Xia's martial arts are all showy but useless. I want to tell you that you are very wrong. There are many real experts in the country, but they do not care about your clichés." The reporter was so excited that his eyes turned red and said, "What you said is very good. However, if someone challenges you, will you accept the challenge?" "Yes, I will use my own strength to prove the fighting strength of Hua Xia's martial arts," Tang Zheng solemnly promised. The reporter left satisfied. His words were quickly published. Suddenly, the debate about Chinese martial arts intensified and became the hottest topic on the internet. However, the doubters were still unwilling to give up. They said that Tang Zheng was just playing to the gallery and was an embroidered pillow. However, Tang Zheng was like an outsider. He completely ignored the debate on the internet. Although his roommates mentioned it to him a few times, he just laughed it off. However, the situation was far more complicated than he imagined. The next day, a middle-aged man with a bulging belly found him and claimed to be the vice president of the Hua Xia Martial Arts Association. The vice president did not have the slightest bit of respect for Tang Zheng. This was because Tang Zheng said in front of the reporters that Hua Xia Martial Arts Association was an organization that only knew how to show off. Although this was the truth, after all, being slapped in the face by Tang Zheng like this made this group of people lose face. Moreover, the Hua Xia Martial Arts Association was a semi-official organization. Many of the chairman and vice-chairman had official identities, and many of the consultants were the leaders of the major sections. All these years, the right to speak had been controlled by them. Now, a young man had come out and said that they were all flowers and no substance. Although this was the truth, how could they not be angry when it was exposed like this? "Tang Zheng, you're still so young. Why are you saying such irresponsible things? This is an insult to the entire martial arts world, do you know that? The impact is extremely bad." The vice president reprimanded harshly. Tang Zheng had figured out the reason for the other party's anger, so he showed disdain. These people, who usually only knew how to cheat the country's policies and money, also dared to talk about bad influence and so on. It was really a case of a thief crying thief. If it weren't for these people adding fuel to the fire and turning martial arts into dance arts, Hua Xia's martial arts wouldn't have been rejected by so many people and landed in such an awkward situation. "Zish Di can eat, I'll return those words to you. You know very well whether I'm lying or not," Tang Zheng retorted without holding back. The vice chairman was a government official, not a martial arts practitioner. Deep down, he did not believe that Tang Zheng was that powerful. Although he had seen the video circulating on the internet, the current filming technology was so advanced that an ordinary person could become a master with just some editing. Moreover, there were so many people hyping things up on the internet, so he did not believe that Tang Zheng was that powerful. He thought that Tang Zheng was just a sensationalist. Seeing Tang Zheng's attitude, the vice chairman's face sank. "Is this your attitude? I will make you regret what you said today." After saying that, he flicked his sleeves and left. Not long after, the Hua Xia Martial Arts Association issued an official statement that Tang Zheng was just a clown. It was just a hype and told everyone not to believe his words. This time, the people who originally scoffed at martial arts seized the opportunity and attacked Tang Zheng like a storm, while the people who supported Tang Zheng vigorously refuted. The two groups of people quarreled on the internet until people were thrown off their feet. The person involved, Tang Zheng, did not pay attention to these gossip. Under the curtain of night, he sneaked into the underground of the imperial city and discussed the matter of the dragon origin pill with the 5-clawed golden dragon. Presumptuous, you are too bold. You actually have the idea of using my blood to refine pills. This is an insult to the dragon clan. The 5-clawed golden dragon was high above as he angrily complained. The eruption of the dragons might made Tang Jing feel a strong pressure. However, he did not back down and earnestly advised, Golden Dragon, not long after, the people from the martial sect will come to kill me. If my cultivation does not increase quickly, then I will be very passive and my life will be in danger. Didn't I teach you the Dragon God technique? I have only cultivated to the first stage of the Dragon God technique. Although this technique is very powerful, it can't make me stronger overnight, so only the Dragon Origin pill is the most useful thing for me. Moreover, I don't want your life, I just want a few drops of your blood as a medicinal primer. The 5-clawed golden dragon stared at Tang Zheng with his lantern-sized eyes, as if he was weighing his words. After a long while, he still said indignantly, the life of the dragon clan is very precious. They took the initiative to send invitations to many experts from other countries, inviting them to come to the capital to participate in the Martial Arts Society convention. Most people ignored them because these experts know that the people from the Martial Arts Association are all showy and impractical. Competing with them for the so-called championship is an insult to themselves. In the end, the Martial Arts Association didn't even invite a single expert. However, an unexpected piece of news came out later. A Muay Thai expert saw your video, so he named you and sent you a letter of challenge. He will only participate if you participate in the Martial Arts Society convention. Chapter 350. When Tang Zheng returned to school, his roommates were already waiting for him. The three of them looked rather excited, and Tang Zheng asked curiously, "What is the background of this Muay Thai expert?" Sinosaurus said as if he was presenting a treasure, "I just checked online, this person is called Sampa. He is the #1 expert in Thailand. He debuted in his teens, he is invincible, he is the champion of all kinds of boxing competitions. It is said that he often goes to the underground boxing ring to fight and refine his martial arts. He is very powerful. He can kick a tree as thick as a bowl with one leg." Zhou Yen sighed, Muay Thai is a powerful leg technique. This person's legs are like steel and iron bones, they are invincible. So what? I feel that this Sampa is not a match for OL3. Wang Shiji said in a nutshell. Sinosaurus laughed out loud, of course, who is OL3? He is the #1 fierce person in our archaeology department, the #1 person in Muay Thai. He will still beat him down. And then? Tang Zheng asked. After that, it became even more exciting. The Martial Arts Association invited a true expert and ignored them. Ever since this Sampa jumped out, the experts of the other countries also responded one after another, saying that you have to participate before they can participate. This has caused the officials of the Martial Arts Association to worry. Sinosaurus said gloatingly. What countermeasures do they have? What else can there be? Countermeasures? Just drag it out. In any case, there is no reply yet. I don't know what decision they will make in the end. Zhou Yen said disdainfully. Let's see how long they can drag it out. They can't possibly keep covering their ears and pretending to be cowards. Wang Shiji said. Ding ling ling. The phone rang again, but this time it was the reporter. His voice was even more excited as he explained the situation to Tang Zheng. In the end, he said indignantly, those people from the Martial Arts Association are too despicable. They just issued a statement saying that your kung fu is a lie and that they will definitely not invite you to the martial arts conference. The Muay Thai expert, Sampa, has already issued a challenge, yet they still say that your kung fu is not practical and that you are a liar. I think they have ulterior motives. They don't want to revitalize Hua Xia's martial arts. Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. He asked, since the other party has come to challenge us, will it be of any use if we continue to deceive ourselves like this? Don't you know what they're thinking? No matter if you win or lose, they will lose face, so they might as well not let you participate at all. This way, they can rest easy. The reporter exposed the sinister intentions of the Martial Arts Association. They don't care about the responsibility of revitalizing Hua Xia's martial arts. They only care about their own interests. If I accept the challenge, what should I do? Tang Zheng asked in a deep voice. The reporter was shocked and quickly asked, you accept the challenge? Are you confident in winning? That Sampa is not simple. Tang Zheng smiled faintly and asked, do you think I can win? Of course I believe in you. I believe in Hua Xia's martial arts. The reporter said confidently. That's enough. Just tell me how to accept the challenge. Only then can we push this matter to the highest level of public opinion. Tang Zheng asked. With the arrival of the Martial Arts Association in Beijing, it was impossible for Tang Zheng to keep a low profile. Thus, he simply used this martial arts convention to express his presence to the world. Moreover, this martial arts convention could more effectively link his identity with a martial artist and not a cultivator. Hearing this, the reporter pondered for a while and said, if we want to push this matter to the highest level of public opinion, then we need to publicize it in all directions. If you are not worried, our newspaper can issue a letter of acceptance on your behalf. If the Martial Arts Association is willing to be a coward, then we will do it ourselves. Then I'll leave this matter to you. Don't worry, I will definitely do this matter well. I believe that this will be the most important thing in my career as a reporter. The reporter was extremely excited. Tang Zheng's statement was published on the internet on the same day, and the print media also followed up. Every newspaper and magazine reprinted Tang Zheng's statement, accepting the challenge of the Muay Thai master Sampa, and was willing to accept any boxing master from any country to prove to the world the strength and charm of Hua Xia's martial arts. Hua. This was Tang Zheng challenging the experts of the world. This kind of domineering action immediately made the public extremely excited, as if they had eaten an aphrodisiac. The supporters of Hua Xia's martial arts were all shouting excitedly. They volunteered to support Tang Zheng on the internet, and many people responded. Brother Kung Fu's name was even more resounding, even comparable to many big stars. However, there were also many doubters. Many people hurled insults at Tang Zheng, thinking that he was just playing to the gallery. These people were waiting to see Tang Zheng make a fool of himself. The people who were the most angry were the people of the Martial Arts Association. They did not recognize Tang Zheng's strength, and even thought that his kung fu was showy and impractical, just to deceive laymen. But this time, Tang Zheng directly bypassed them and challenged the experts of the world, which was equivalent to slapping them in the face. For so many years, no one had ever dared to do this, because the real martial arts masters did not bother to pay attention to this group of clowns. The Martial Arts Association immediately issued an official statement, saying that Tang Zheng was discrediting martial arts. When the time came, his showy and impractical skills would not be able to defeat the experts of other countries. That would be a great sin, and this was the sinister intention of the foreign forces. They told everyone to be on guard and not let Tang Zheng succeed. Tang Zheng's counterattack was also very fast. Through the reporters, if the people of the Martial Arts Association thought that he was not qualified, then they could challenge him first. This made the public even more heated, but the statements of the experts of other countries who accepted the challenge one by one pushed this matter to the highest level. The experts of all kinds of boxing from other countries accepted the challenge one after another, and they were about to come to Hua Xia to accept Tang Zheng's challenge. This was equivalent to them admitting that Tang Zheng's level was not showy and impractical like what the Martial Arts Association said, but real kung fu. The Martial Arts Association was immediately silenced. Only then did they realize that Tang Zheng's kung fu was not fake, but real kung fu. These officials who only knew showy and impractical kung fu immediately knew that they were in a dilemma. The martial arts competition they held immediately became a laughing stock, and no one dared to challenge Tang Zheng. This matter made Tang Zheng even more popular in Yenqing University, and he became a real celebrity. Everywhere he went, people pointed at him and talked about him. Many people even directly came up to him to cheer him on, telling him that he must ruthlessly teach those foreign boxers a lesson. Tang Zheng tasted the taste of being a celebrity, but his mentality was very calm. This made Li Xiaotian, who was still following him, snort disdainfully. "You're a cultivator. What's the point of bullying those so-called experts?" Tang Zheng shook his head. "How am I bullying them? To be honest, there are also experts in other countries, such as the island nation. You also saw the strength of the other party in the 100,000 mountains. They are real experts. You're only at the foundation establishment stage. If you provoke the experts of those countries like this, aren't you asking for trouble? What if you lose?" Li Xiaotian asked in confusion. "There are some things in this world that have to be done. If others don't do it, I won't do it either. Then no one will do it." In the past, it was because of this that Hua Xia's martial arts fell into such an awkward situation. "Although I'm not a martial artist, I also have a martial arts dream since I was young. I want to do something for martial arts as much as I can." Tang Zheng's words were sincere. When Li Xiaotian heard this, her expression changed slightly. She was a martial artist, but she had never thought about this problem. She didn't care about other people's views on martial artists. As for the decline of Hua Xia's martial arts, it had nothing to do with her. However, after hearing Tang Zheng's words, she couldn't help but feel a little ashamed. The dignity of Hua Xia's martial arts had to be protected by a cultivator. "Your intentions are very good, but some people might not understand you. Don't you see that the people from the Martial Arts Association have been slandering you?" Li Xiaotian said. Tang Zheng laughed unconcernedly. "There will always be a few clowns in this world. If I pay attention to them, wouldn't I be looking for trouble? I just need to do my own thing. Aren't you afraid that the martial sect will come to deal with you again? As long as you don't reveal my identity, the martial sect will always be afraid of me. In fact, the more famous I am, the more cautious the martial sect will be." Tang Zheng laughed. "Oh, so that's your plan. You're quite smart." The two of them did not continue to chat because he was informed to go to the academy's office building. In the office building, he saw Yan Liang and another middle-aged man. The man frowned and stared at Tang Zheng with hostility. Yan Liang looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. The last time Tang Zheng was humiliated in front of Qi Shaowen, the dean even criticized him. This made him secretly hate Tang Zheng. However, Tang Zheng had Qi Shaowen's support. There was nothing Yan Liang could do to him. This time, Tang Zheng had caused a big stir and became the focus of public opinion. He had also slapped the Martial Arts Association hard in the face. Yan Liang hated and was afraid of Tang Zheng. However, he could hold his head high today. He was secretly excited because the chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Yu Zhankue, had come to the academy and criticized Tang Zheng in front of the school leaders. Yu Zhankue was not an ordinary person. He was a real official. He was the head of the Martial Arts Association and a deputy director. He had single-handedly promoted the establishment of the Martial Arts Association. Yan Liang was the tutor of Tang Zheng's cohort. In the end, he was entrusted with an important task by the academy. Yan Liang was asked to cooperate with Yu Zhankue to deal with Tang Zheng's matter. Yan Liang had an imperial sword. He said arrogantly, "Tang Zheng, you've caused such a big trouble this time. You've brought shame to the academy and the Martial Arts Association. Do you know what you've done wrong?" Tang Zheng was baffled. This Yan Liang's criticism caused his anger to burst out with a whoosh. He did not have the slightest bit of good expression as he retorted, "Humph, you're trying to put a big hat on me, right? You're not qualified." Yan Liang had a bad reputation. Tang Zheng heard that he had accepted many gifts from the student union cadres before promising them positions. Yan Liang was delighted. "The more you jump, the happier I am." Chapter 351. Tang Zheng raised his eyebrows and looked at the person he had never met. He retorted, "Where are your manners?" "Nonsense, this is simply nonsense. Are the students from Yenqing University all like this?" Yu Zhankui flew into a rage. This kind of official, who was used to being high and mighty, was obviously flustered and exasperated when he saw a young person dare to challenge his authority. "Tang Zheng, this is the chairman of the Martial Arts Association, Yu Zhankui. You are being too presumptuous with your words," Yan Liang reprimanded sternly as he tried his best to defend Yu Zhankui's authority. Tang Zheng's gaze turned cold. The other party was actually the chairman of the Martial Arts Association. In other words, he was the one who had repeatedly declared that Tang Zheng's martial arts were showy but impractical, saying that he was trying to please the crowd with claptrap. Tang Zheng's face gradually revealed an evil expression. He clasped his hands and said, "So it's the chairman of the Martial Arts Association. Nice to meet you." Seeing Tang Zheng's expression soften, as though he was about to give in, Yu Zhankui's face revealed a pleased expression. He thought to himself that his reputation was indeed great. This immature brat was still afraid of him after all. Yan Liang's expression darkened. This brat actually knew how to be afraid. It was too unexpected. This way, it would not be able to intensify their conflict. "Humph, Tang Zheng, immediately go and make a statement. Obey the management of the Writers' Association and cancel the arranged battle with those people," Yu Zhankui said arrogantly. Tang Zheng found it a little funny. This person really thought he was a big shot. He was not in a hurry to fall out with him. Instead, he asked, "Oh, what other requests do you have?" Yu Zhankui's expression became even more arrogant as he said, "In addition, apologize to the Martial Arts Association in public. Apologize for your irresponsible words in the past and apologize for tarnishing the reputation of the Martial Arts Association." "Is that so? What else?" Tang Zheng asked with a smile, his eyes narrowed into a thin line, as if he was harmless to humans and animals. Li Xiaotian stood at the side without saying a word, watching with great interest. When she saw Tang Zheng's expression, the corners of her mouth also curled up into a faint smile, as if she was watching a good show. Also, Yu Zhankui was stunned for a moment, as if he didn't expect Tang Zheng to be so tactful. He paused for a moment and said, "I haven't thought of anything else yet. When we think of something, we'll let you know." The smile on Tang Zheng's face grew wider, but there was a trace of coldness in his eyes as he said, "Since Chairman Yu is a senior, then I have a presumptuous request." "Oh, what is it?" "Tell me." Yu Zhankui thought that he had completely taken the initiative and intimidated Tang Zheng. "I want to ask you about your martial arts," Tang Zheng said firmly. "Ask you about my martial arts?" Yu Zhankui was stunned for a moment. He only knew a little bit of martial arts, so how could he be a match for Tang Zheng? Moreover, he was relying on his status as an official and not his real martial arts. However, he concealed it very well and said in a dignified manner, "Your humble attitude to learn is good, but I can't bully a junior. It wouldn't be good if I hurt you." Tang Zheng obviously knew what the other party was capable of, so he wouldn't be deceived by the other party's few words. He said, "I'm not worried about getting hurt. Please enlighten me." Tang Zheng's 2 feet moved forward, closing the distance between them, almost touching Yu Zhankui's face. Yu Zhankui was shocked and hurriedly retreated. But how could Tang Zheng let him escape? With lightning speed, he directly grabbed the other party's arm, and with a gotcha sound, the other party's two arms were directly removed, limp and powerless as they drooped, and his face revealed a look of fear and pain. Before Yu Zhankui could finish his sentence, Tang Zheng's two palms had already landed on his chest, and with a pang sound, Yu Zhankui was sent flying, crashing into the wall in a sorry state. Ah! Yu Zhankui screamed miserably. Yan Liang was so scared that he sat down on the ground. This scene was completely out of his expectations. More importantly, Tang Zheng's fierce attacks made him dumbstruck. Only now did he realize how terrifying Tang Zheng's strength was. If he targeted Tang Zheng, then if Tang Zheng did the same to him, then his life would be in danger. You dare to hurt me? I will sue you. I will have Yenqing University expel you. Yu Zhankui roared. Tang Zheng disdainfully said, Sue me? Then go ahead and sue me. Didn't you call yourself a senior? It's not wrong for me to ask you for guidance, right? If I hurt you, then it can only be because you're not as skilled as others. Yu Zhankui was speechless. Let me tell you, if you want to put on airs in front of me, then you are still too inexperienced. Your martial arts association's inaction these past few years has harmed Hua Xia's martial arts. You should be clear about it. If you have any moves, then feel free to use them. I will receive them one by one. As for you wanting me to quit school, then let's see if you have the qualifications. After saying this, his eyes turned cold as he stared at Yan Liang. Yan Liang's entire body went cold. He trembled as he retreated and said, Tang Zheng, what are you doing? Instructor Yan, I have no grudges with you in the past. If you really treat me as a student that you can bully as you please, then let me tell you, you will be very miserable. You better look out for yourself. Students don't come to school to be yelled at and do whatever you want. Tang Zheng, you misunderstand. I have no intention of targeting you. Yan Liang shook his head like a rattledrum as he denied. You know very well. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian left the school's office building. You're not afraid that President Yu will take revenge on you? I don't think he is a good person. You hurt him and also made him lose face. He will not let this go. Li Xiaotian asked with a smile that was not a smile. Tang Zheng shrugged and said, that is exactly what I want. I am looking forward to his revenge. Only then will it involve his interests. Don't you think the Martial Arts Association's actions these past few years are strange? Oh, what's strange? Li Xiaotian asked curiously. The Li Palace was well informed, but they had never paid attention to an unimportant organization like the Martial Arts Association. The Martial Arts Association holds this so-called martial arts convention. Just how many so-called experts have been invited? They are fooling the common people, but the common people are not stupid. They gradually see through the true colors of these so-called experts, so the martial arts conventions are becoming less and less interesting. There are not many people paying attention to them. Many of the common people even think that Hua Xia's martial arts are gimmicks and have no fighting power. They are incomparable to those foreign martial arts. In this way, isn't the Martial Arts Association cutting off their own path of retreat? Tang Zheng analyzed. Li Xiaotian looked puzzled. I have never thought of this problem before. Listening to your analysis, isn't the Martial Arts Association's actions contradictory? It does not suit their interests at all. There must be a reason for this abnormality. There must be something fishy going on here. It is just that I have not yet figured out what is strange about it. As he spoke, Yu Zhankui walked out of the office building with his arms drooping. His face was dark and ruthless. At this moment, a car stopped in front of him. He got in and left. What should we do? Since there are so many strange things, of course we should chase after him and see what is going on. Didn't you say that he would not let this go? Let's go and see what kind of revenge he will take, Tang Jing said. Li Xiaotian's eyes lit up. She was a fearless person, so she nodded readily. Okay, let's go. The other party's speed was not very fast. The two of them followed like a whirlwind. From afar, they saw the car enter a high-end villa. The two of them quietly climbed in and sneaked into the villa. Immediately, they heard Yu Zhankui's angry voice. I must kill that brat. He dared to hurt me. I will not let him have it easy. This Tang Zheng is not an ordinary person. You have not heard of his name, so you suffered at his hands, the other person said. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian saw the owner of this voice. It was a white man. His appearance was very different from the Huaxia people. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian looked at each other. They both felt the other's doubts. How did this Yu Zhankui get together with a foreigner? Tang Zheng had a flash of inspiration. He seemed to have understood something. Mr. Wales, what is the background of that brat? Yu Zhankui asked curiously. His background is not simple. He is a true martial artist and has a close relationship with the Ye family, Wales said. Tang Zheng was shocked when he heard this. This foreigner actually knew him so well and even knew about his relationship with the Ye family. His incident at Dragon Elephant Mountain caused an uproar in the city, but after all, it was only spread in a small circle of the upper echelons. Normal people did not know. But this foreigner actually knew, which meant that the other party's identity was not ordinary. You are talking about the Ye family in the capital? Yu Zhankui was shocked. Other than this Ye family, who else dares to call themselves the Ye family? Wales smiled mysteriously. He has such a strong backing. Then how do we fight him? Yu Zhankui's face was ashen. Don't you have us behind you? With us behind you, even if it is the Ye family, what is there to be afraid of? Wales said fearlessly. Tang Zheng was slightly shocked. What was the background of this Wales? He was not even afraid of the Ye family. One had to know that against a huge family like the Ye family, normal forces would not be able to resist at all. Yu Zhankui seemed to remember Wales' background. The fear on his face gradually receded. He squeezed out a smile and said, yes, with Mr. Wales' help, the Ye family is nothing to be afraid of. Moreover, it is not just the Ye family in the capital. The other families have been eyeing the Ye family for a long time. We are not fighting alone, we have an alliance. When the time comes to deal with the Ye family together, Tang Zheng will not be a threat. Only death will await him, Wales said confidently. Yu Zhankui's eyes lit up and said, yes, we must kill this kid. Just do your own thing. The martial arts convention must continue to be held. We must make the people lose all faith in Huaxia. Only then can the martial arts of Huaxia truly disappear from this world. An unnatural expression flashed across Yu Zhankui's face. Chapter 352. Yu Zhankui was convinced. He clenched his teeth and nodded, all right, since we've already reached this step, let's do this one last time. When the time comes, I'll go abroad to reunite with my family. Contempt flashed through Wales' eyes. These Huaxia people who only had benefits in their eyes. They completely disregarded the essence left behind by their ancestors and abandoned it like a worn-out shoe. No wonder there were still so many people in the world who looked down on them. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian were shocked to the core. These two people actually colluded together for their own benefits. It was too shameless. No wonder there were so many people criticizing Huaxia martial arts these past few years, and it was a one-sided order. It turned out that there were external forces adding fuel to the fire. Li Xiaotian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. She wanted to rush out and end these two people, but Tang Zheng stopped her and shook his head at her. Li Xiaotian snorted and held back. Huaxia martial arts are the soul and courage of the people of this country. If we eliminate Huaxia martial arts, then this nation and this country will have no soul. In the future, we will return to this land and take the resources of this land for ourselves. Chairman you've made great contributions. We won't forget you. Wales didn't hide his intentions and laughed loudly. Yu Zhankue smiled embarrassedly and revealed an awkward expression. Chairman Yu Zhankue, you're a person of the Western Empire in the future. This is all your contribution. You should be happy. This society follows the law of the jungle. This country is too weak and should be eliminated. Wales patted Yu Zhankue's shoulder and said. Yu Zhankue took a deep breath and said as if relieved of a burden, yes, I understand. Don't worry, Mr. Wales. I will definitely take care of this matter. Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian left the villa. Li Xiaotian asked indignantly, why didn't you let me kill these two traitors? What's the point of killing them? Tang Zheng asked. Of course it's useful. This kind of person shouldn't exist in this world. I originally thought that Yu Zhankue was just a guy fishing for fame. I didn't expect him to be so much more than that. He's a traitor who betrayed the interests of his country. Although the Li Palace was a mysterious organization that basically didn't care about worldly affairs, they were still Huaxia people. What Wales was scheming wasn't just a little bit of benefits, but the entire country and its people. This was an attempt to destroy the country and its people. This was not the physical destruction of the Huaxia people, but the spiritual destruction of their beliefs. This was the most dangerous thing. Without the spiritual support of a person, a nation could only be reduced to walking corpses. You killed Yu Zhankue and the other Zhang Zhankue. Zhao Zhankue colluded with them. Can you kill them all? As soon as the dragon origin pill entered his mouth, it was as if an energy bomb had exploded. A powerful energy rushed from his throat to his 8 meridians. In an instant, Tang Zheng felt as if his body had been thrown into a furnace. He groaned and hurriedly circulated his qi. The ancient clear heaven scroll and the dragon god's secret art revolved at the same time. True qi surged like a roaring river, rampaging through his meridians. It was as if his body was about to be torn apart. Beads of sweat appeared on his forehead as his face revealed a painful expression. Lu Qingmei saw this scene and was shocked. She shouted for Tang Zheng, but he didn't respond. She didn't know what to do, but she didn't dare to touch Tang Zheng. She could only anxiously look at him as she prayed, Tang Zheng, nothing must happen to you. Why is this dragon origin pill so powerful? Is it a miracle pill or poison? It can actually make him feel so much pain. Although Tang Zheng was in pain, he still guarded his mind. He continued to circulate the ancient clear heaven scroll and the dragon god's secret art. The restless true qi continued to jump up and down, rising bit by bit. So, the true qi that was originally 7 inches long instantly rose to 8 inches. Moreover, it didn't stop, as if it wanted to break through his body. He couldn't help but scream miserably. He thought to himself, F***ck, why is this dragon origin pill so overbearing? It even mobilized the pure yang energy in my body. Could it be that I'm going to explode and die? Lu Qingmei saw that his cheeks were gradually turning red like soldering iron. After a while, his body began to emit green smoke. In the end, his clothes directly ignited into flames. She screamed. But in an instant, the flames were extinguished again, because his clothes were burned to ashes in an instant, and he was naked. Fortunately, beside him was Lu Qingmei, who had been intimate with him before. If it was anyone else, it would be embarrassing. His entire body had turned fiery red, and even his lower body had become a pillar that supported the sky. His fighting spirit was high. Lu Qingmei glanced at him, and a trace of redness appeared on her face. She said angrily, Why is this guy so restless when we're cultivating? Xiao Bai watched from the side with great interest. This little guy wasn't worried about Tang Zheng at all. After glancing at him, it placed its attention on the porcelain bottle that contained the dragon origin pill. The little guy held the porcelain bottle and gently poured out a dragon origin pill. It looked left and right, and then quietly, its eyes revealed a look of joy. So. Its little claws directly threw one into its mouth. Immediately, its eyes became brighter red. The last ball of flame burned in its eyes, and its snow-white hair also began to change, turning red bit by bit. In the end, its entire body was burning. Ah! Lu Qingmei was shocked by this unforeseen event. She didn't know what was going on, but when she saw the open porcelain bottle, she suddenly realized that Xiao Bai had secretly eaten the dragon origin pill. Seeing Tang Zheng's appearance, she also knew the consequences of eating the dragon origin pill. But Xiao Bai had also secretly eaten it. What would happen? She didn't know about Xiao Bai's miraculous abilities. Usually, she only treated it as a puppy. This time, when she saw it secretly eat the dragon origin pill, she was helpless. Xiao Bai didn't show a painful expression like Tang Zheng. Instead, it seemed very excited. Its eyes lit up, and its little mouth let out squeaking sounds. With a kick of its hind legs, it jumped up and jumped onto the wardrobe. Lu Qingmei screamed. Was this little guy going to ignite the whole room? Then wouldn't Tang Zheng be in danger? But her worries were unnecessary. The flames outside the little guy's body didn't ignite anything. It was quite magical. Suddenly, a small figure jumped up and down in the room like a ball of flame, accompanied by squeaking sounds. Lu Qingmei was dumbstruck. She didn't know whether this was good or bad for Xiao Bai. But no matter what, she could only wait and see. Soon, her attention was attracted by Tang Zheng. She saw that Tang Zheng's body was getting redder and redder, as if it was really going to burn. Especially the pain on his face was getting more and more intense. No, he's in great pain. I have to do something for him. Lu Qingmei muttered to herself, thinking hard about how to help him. Suddenly, her heart moved. She remembered the secret Tang Zheng told her. He had the 9 yang saint body. If the pure yang energy exploded, it must be the neutralization of the pure yin energy. Looking like he was about to burn, it must be the explosion of the pure yang body. It must be the neutralization of the pure yin energy. Where did the pure yin energy come from? Of course, it came from her body. She undressed without hesitation. Her snow-white skin was gradually exposed to the air. Her palms touched Tang Zheng's skin. Bang! A burst of burnt meat smell. She immediately groaned in pain and frowned. But she endured the pain and didn't shrink back. She knew that she was Tang Zheng's last hope. She absolutely couldn't shrink back, even if she was burned. So, her whole body leaned on Tang Zheng's body. A burst of green smoke rose. She felt as if her skin was torn open. She gritted her teeth, aimed at that part, and sat down. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.